Hello and welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Kandrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are
the Yerky Boys.
We're closing things up. We're getting pretty close to the end here, folks.
That's right. We've just got one more little detail to take care of before we can officially close shop on Yerky Boys podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
We've covered everything except for one thing.
Right. That thing is Animorphs Parodies, which for the most part is going to be Vegemorphs. I'm sure you've heard of it.
You've heard, yes, for the most 2/3 of this episode will be Vegemorphs.
At least, huh?
Well, yeah. Well, 2/3 maybe not by time, but by content.
I suppose that's true.
Yeah, it is true.
So when we say parodies, we are specifically
we're talking about a parody's nuts. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead. You can keep going now. Go ahead. Don't. I'm finished. I just wanted to say that. Now I've said it, so you can go ahead with what you were saying.
It would have been, if this was our last episode, we could have just ended on that, and I wouldn't have to talk anymore. We'd be done. It'd all be over.
No, you gotta say a little more for now.
You still got to do the rest of this, I guess. I'm sure there are more parodies in existence. However, we are going to specifically be going down the list of parodies on Seropedia, our favorite website in the entire world, and talking about the things listed here. This is going to include Vegemorphs, the fungus among us, Animorons, a parody in Cracked Magazine, and Vegemorphs, which is there's like a thing in an Arthur episode. Arthur, the Aardvark, he reads a book series called Vegemorphs.
Not the funny drunk.
Right. It's not the name of the episode. It's not even the point of the episode.
Sure it is.
There's a bit in there where it exists.
What are we? Fucking on Arthur already? Jesus, slow your
roll,
man.
Not on Arthur. I'm just wondering that if this one counts, there must be like 5 others.
Of course it counts.
That just aren't listed on Seropedia.
I feel like we would know about. I think these probably are the only like not counting like stuff that some guy just made on YouTube or fan fiction.
Yeah, I mean,
like
that
this is probably
count.
The only like published or visual parodies. I mean, SNL wasn't doing an Animorphs parody. Like, where the fuck else is
what's the line between a parody and a reference? That's really the question here. Like, at what point does the Arthur one just become a reference to Animorphs?
It's a parody because there's commentary on what it is. Okay. They don't say the word Animorphs. It's a spin on what Animorphs is.
Sure. Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Yet, and you're trying to tear down the premise of the episode. Your opening argument is, here's why we shouldn't have this discussion.
No.
This is not a way to conduct a podcast.
is that why is Seropedia the ultimate authority on this? It feels like either we should be excluding some things from this list or including things that aren't on this list. Probably. It's fine though. We'll talk about it. No big deal.
I'm torn between my hatred of Seropedia and my desire to fight with you.
Well, you don't have a lot of time left to do it, so fight with me while you can. Seropedia will still be there.
Yeah, for how long, I wonder?
Longer than me. Once this podcast is over, I'm out of here.
This is going to be the when humanity is gone, aliens will come billions of eons from now, and the only thing they'll discover is Seropedia. These humans, they had a fascination with Vegemorphs. A great part of human tradition was analyzing goofs.
Yeah. You think they'll wonder how we found out about the escort?
Yeah, I do think they will wonder that. Now, There are a couple of emails, but I think we're going to save them all for next week. And I'm going to remind everybody again that next week is our final episode of this show.
Right. This is what we have to do before we close shop. Next week is going to be us closing shop.
That's correct. So you have one more chance if, in the very unlikely scenario that you're listening to this at time of release, you have 1 week to send an email to theyerkyboys@gmail.com. If you're listening to this show after that, you can still send an email, but we will not read it. We will never look at it. We won't respond to it. You know what? I'll respond and just say fuck you to anyone who emails once we're done.
Yeah, I will only find out about it if John tells me, because I don't read these. I only hear them when he reads them on the air.
Yeah.
This is it. And this is also your chance to be in the final episode. Like, if you want to be, you've been writing in, you're a regular, and you think, maybe you're a part of Yerky Boys lore, right? That people know your name. Well, no. If you're not in the final episode, you don't count. So,
Okay.
this is your chance to be part of history.
Yeah, it is. It is that chance for you. I think we should save Vegemorphs for last.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is ironically, the meatiest.
That was good. God damn, you should have written Vegemorphs. Holy
Trust
shit.
Me. I could have, and I wish I did. But we're not there yet. What do you want to do? You want to start with Animorphs or Arthur? You already started talking about Arthur. I mean, I don't know what you want to do.
So Arthur, the book series is called Vegemorphs. We could wait until. Sure. This is something we should have figured out before we started the podcast.
Who gives a shit? Maybe before we even talk about any of them, just the idea of a parody of something. Is that even a thing that exists anymore? I do feel like this kind of died maybe in the early 2000s. I mean, sure, you have Saturday Night Live. I guess technically they parody things. Nobody really calls it that. Maybe you'd say satirize more, but we don't need to get into that distinction. But it feels like this what used to be, in the 80s, you had Airplane, you had Naked Gun, and in the 90s, you had Scary Movie, you had That Wave, you had Mad Magazine, you had Mad TV, you had even the MTV Movie Awards were doing skits that were parodies of movies that year. I don't know that anybody is doing this anymore, even on YouTube. Maybe on TikTok, I guess, but now it's just one person with a towel on their head, going back and forth, pretending to talk to themselves, and that's the parody. It's not really a...
It is true. I wasn't thinking of parodies as being dead, but yeah, it's odd, isn't it? I feel like I haven't seen one in a while, and I don't think that's just because, the target audience for this sort of thing is 13, and the farther away from 13 I get, the less I see it. I don't think that that's the only problem here. It is strange. It is strange because you are talking about YouTube, and I'm like, yeah, why don't I see? I guess that's because, it's all super over commercialized now, and people are trying to make money, so nobody's just putting on a Halloween costume and saying lines from The Dark Knight. But that's the sort of thing you would have just seen. And yeah, like you said, I don't know that I am aware of TikToks doing similar things. Maybe there's a 10-second clip of a line, and then they have themselves saying it, but nobody's doing skits.
I see more you'll see a TikTok that's someone going, it says POV, you're every Marvel character, and it's a montage of them going, well, that went well, and shit like that. But not in the same way as this, oh, okay, let's really think this through. Instead of Jake, his name is Blake. That'll get him.
Yeah, so, some confluence of just an overabundance of really shitty parodies and also cringe culture, I think probably might have killed it. Because I'm thinking about it, and I'm just how much of this is fucking for more fucking Disaster Movie and the Nostalgia Critics' fault, right? where it's just like, oh, we don't do skits anymore. That sucks. It sucks. It's embarrassing. We're not doing that. And as far as movies goes, do you see what that like parody franchise looked like? We're not fucking doing that. Right? Do
Now,
you think that's something there?
I do think that's something. We don't have thumb wars anymore.
I mean,
Right?
that's a real loss, though.
Yes, but maybe it's coming back. This summer there is a new Naked Gun movie, and I do believe
It's
they are
true.
making a new Scary Movie as well.
All
So
right. Well, maybe it'll come
maybe it's having a
back.
comeback. Maybe there's a
Maybe
renaissance coming.
maybe I'll be like, why did we bring this back? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with all of these things, when it comes down to it, is that they do still have to be funny. Like, I feel like the reason that
Well,
you see so many of these like shitty variants on it, like, because was just like, oh, I did the same thing, but I didn't take it seriously, and I used a goofy name. Isn't that funny? Reference ergo humor, right? And it's like, no, no. No, the reason why something like, say, Airplane is fucking incredible is because, like, you don't have to have any idea that it's a parody for it to be funny. It's still fucking funny. The reason why
mm,
Weird Al was great is because if you'd never heard the original song and you were a kid, it was still funny, right? Like, that's why it's good.
yeah. I just realized we're talking about the death of parodies. Didn't occur to me how many parody songs we have on our show.
Right,
It's
well,
like
you're the last holdout,
that's
man. Like, who else is
right.
making parody music?
I mean, well, they don't even really make music anymore, but like there's the Lonely Island is sort of in that. But you know what? I
Hmm.
think parody has sort of become supplanted by homage.
Hmm.
I think that's part of it is the a lot of times the parodies in the 90s were really genuinely making fun of the source material.
Hmm.
And I think what you see more now is loving, like you see a Shaun of the Dead, right?
Hmm.
Where it's like, well, that technically you could call that a parody, but it's really an homage. It's taking elements and it's enamored with its source material. It's not taking the piss, mate.
I do love how to get what you see now, you had to go back like fucking 20 years or something.
Yeah, I could have. I was also thinking Cabin in the Woods, which is also probably 20 years fucking old.
It's more like 15.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. They don't make comedies anymore. They don't get made. What about a T? Aren't there TV shows like there's got to be something. Is there a parody show? I don't know. I guess not.
You're
All
the
right.
only one, man. It's just you. You're the last bastion of culture.
Is
You gotta find a way for you to release these songs from our Patreon that I guess we stopped plugging last time because we're in the last month
yeah.
anyway.
I was thinking about we'll plug it at the end, but
Eh,
it'll be there. We'll mention it. It'll be
yeah,
there.
sure.
It'll still be there.
If you're signed up and you forgot, go listen to it.
All right. Okay, so anyway, that said, we both love parodies.
Yeah.
They're funny as hell. And I mean, why don't we then start with one of the kings of parody? More of the prince of parody, really. Because the king, you got to say, is Mad Magazine.
You do.
But the sort of ripoff of Mad Magazine was Cracked Magazine, which I have to say, before researching for this, I don't know that I was really aware of that Cracked Magazine did exist. I think I looked at this a long time ago and just thought it was Mad Magazine. Because
Mm.
I primarily know Cracked as the website they became, which which was huge, I feel like, in the early 2000s for all their top 10 lists of things.
Hmm.
And they weren't really like The Onion. They sort of just became a humorous clickbait site as opposed to like an actual parody site. But yeah, their magazine launched in 1958. I would never have guessed that it had been around that long.
I
And
don't know what I would have guessed. I was aware that they used to be a Mad Like magazine. It was one of those like, hey, did you know that cracked.com was a magazine? Maybe even still is or something, but it's not something I've thought about since, I don't know, college or whatever. And I did not do any additional research for this episode. So,
yeah, it never reached the same success as Mad. And
mhm.
there were also several writers and artists, including I think the ones we're talking about today, who worked on both magazines at various points. So there
Mhm.
was a lot of crossover between them. It sounds like Cracked really was just kind of the same thing. I mean, obviously magazines
Can it
aren't in vogue anymore unless you're reading Vogue. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, were you a mad head as a kid? Were you a mad kid?
Absolutely was not.
Okay.
I think I had like I don't maybe I read one or two of them in my life, which is it's a weird thing because I'm such a Weird Al fan and a
Hmm.
lot of other things that they will talk about what an influence Mad was on their life and their comedy. So I sort of have a respect for it from afar, but I've never really gotten into it. It doesn't seem like something that maybe would really appeal to me unless I was 10 years old.
Yeah, so I did have a Mad Magazine subscription for quite a few years as a kid. I
Wow.
was a Mad kid, but yes, 10 years old, I don't know. But like it was more like 12 to 15-ish, right?
Okay.
Was around the years when I had that. So I did read a lot of Mad magazines. I probably still have them somewhere. I don't think I
Mm.
got rid of them when my mom moved like a year ago and shoveled all the crap out of her
Tell
attic.
us your life story.
Yeah. So, but like, yeah, so in reading this particular Animorphs parody, I will say, yeah, like you don't have to tell me that this was basically just like Mad, probably had the same writers as Mad, same artists, because I'm looking at it and I'm just like, yeah, that reads like a Mad parody, but it doesn't have the specific Mad isms, right? Like there are specific, somebody might be saying like blech or whatever, and that's not here. But like it's the same thing. The art, it's the same kind of thing. It does not shock me to learn that they shared a lot of if you told me the whoever wrote this, whoever drew this also frequently worked for Mad, I'd be like, yeah, sure. Checks out. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, this issue we're going to be discussing is from 1999, and I don't even know if by that point Mad was like Mad anymore. Like, was that even at that point? These magazines have been out for decades. I mean, I guess you said you read it
Yeah.
from 12 to 15, so I guess that would have been
Yeah.
later than this.
No, I had a subscription in the mid aughts for sure.
Yeah.
That was a thing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know if Mad still exists. Presumably it does, right? Is it still the
No,
same as it always was?
no, Mad. I remember because people I followed online were talking about it a few years
Hmm.
ago. It had its final issue. It's gone.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah, yeah.
What an era.
R.I.P. Rest in power, Mad. Rest in power, Alfred E. Newman.
Mm-hmm. Spy
The
versus Spy. All my
the
favorites.
I mean, when you put the A and the B together, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The page when you make it go together.
Yeah. Yeah. You fold the
Yeah.
the white wrapper that they
The
eventually moved
image
to.
they use for Eminem.
Yeah, they made that joke.
Okay. The
Yeah, if you
image
got
they
them in the
use.
mail, they had
All
an
right.
extra white
Can I
cover
get
on them with an
one
extra joke.
sentence out?
No.
Can I just say one fucking thing, please, without you fucking interrupting me? Shut the fuck up about Mad. Nobody gives a shit. It's gone. It's dead. It was bad when it came out, and it's dead now because it sucked.
Well, I don't know anything about Cracked, so that's all I got to offer.
Cracked is what's good. The
Hmm.
cover of the Cracked magazine on Wikipedia has Mel Gibson dressed like a rabbi, and it says Mel Gibson's Guide to Hanukkah.
Hmm.
And in the bottom right, it says plus other things that are in it, and one of them is Maddox.
Wow.
Remember him?
I do remember him.
He's right above D.L. Hughley.
That sounds familiar.
15 funniest of 2006. Stephen Colbert, Jack Black, Borat, and more. Boy, the more things change, the more they stay the same, you know?
Jesus Christ. That upsets me to hear that.
Literally, Stephen Colbert and Jack Black are right now two of the most famous comedians. Like, they still are the top two, probably. Like, in terms of success and recognition. It wouldn't be weird to see those names on a comedy magazine right now.
Now I'm looking at the cracked cover from the Animorphs issue, the Animorons issue. And it's got Pukemon, and I see Pikachu here with some vomit dripping from his mouth. And Ash Ketchum is here. He's covered in puke, and he's sticking his tongue out. He's grossed out.
Yeah. Yeah, it says they're so cute you'll want to puke them on.
Right. That's what it says.
Yeah, the illustration of Ash looks like somebody wasn't really sure how to draw anime.
Yeah, it kind of looks like shit.
It kind of looks a little bit like who's the guy from Strong Bad?
Oh god, Stinko Man.
Stinko Man.
Yeah.
Right. It is kind of gross. The puke is all green.
Yeah. See, imagine if that was Alfred E. Newman, and also this puke would have been way grosser.
Yeah, I would have liked that. And right at the top, nestled between Tarzan and American Pie, is Animorphs.
Wow. Tarzan, huh? Was there a Tarzan movie in... Oh, when did that Tarzan movie come out?
Yeah, it must have been 99.
99, sure. I mean, maybe not. Maybe they're just not topical, but...
It wasn't like it was either 98 or 99. It wasn't. I might have guessed 2000, but there's no other Tarzan they could be parodying. It had to be that one.
$2.25. That's basically nothing.
Yeah. Well, so this is the magazine. Now, I mean, Animorphs being here, and it is on the front cover. It stands out right at the top, above the logo, above the title of the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And this is 3 years after the series debuted. So that is kind of indicative to me of Animorphs' place in the culture, that it had. I mean, if it's up there on the same cover as Pokemon, you know, that's the zeitgeist right there, baby.
It's the zeitgeist, that's for sure. So this issue would have come out at the same time as book 36, The Mutation, just to help everyone place it. That's the one with the stupid mer people, the Nartek.
Right, of course. Thank you for reminding me.
So post Visser, well into we're in season 3 now.
Yeah, pretty late. So they are kind of late for this ball game. I don't know. Was Animorphs hitting a new peak of popularity, or were they just way too late for this parody?
I don't know that they were way too late, right? Like as a kid, I do think I probably got into it like just before the peak, most likely. I think it was still around, but I do think that it was starting to die down not long after this. I think this might have been the last train to get in while it was still like big.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is still 99. It feels like once you hit 2000, it's too late. Now, it is a little too late in the sense that the way the parody is structured, as we'll talk about now, the substance of the parody is really just heavily based on like the first book, right? Like, I don't think the person who wrote this, whose name I have, by the way, it's written there. It's Dan Fiorella, who has a handful of books he's written. He has written for both Mad and Cracked. He also wrote for Weekly World News, which I thought was pretty fun.
Hell yeah. I was also a big Weekly World News fan.
Yeah, he wrote an article called Trader Dolphins and another one called Talking Pig.
Oh, hell yes. Those sound like they rule.
Yeah, you can read them. He has them linked on his website because they're all archived. It's pretty great. So I thought those were both Animorphs related. That's why I named them. Anyway, I doubt that he read more than one or two Animorphs books. He wasn't going in deep.
Yeah,
with
I
the
mean, I
parodies.
I wouldn't expect that. I mean, honestly, just the fact that it seems like he might have read the first one, uh, is maybe more work than I might have expected.
And this was illustrated by a guy named Bruce Bollinger, or perhaps Bollinger, don't
Mhm.
know, who's a Pennsylvania boy, I gotta tell you.
Wow.
Yeah. He went to I think he lives there now in Nicktown, PA. And he just does. He's a cartoonist, and yeah. So the way what this is it's 3 pages long, and on each page it's like they took a chapter. It's like you're looking at scattered pages from a fake Animorphs book,
Mhm.
and you're reading them, and in the background are weird illustrations accompanying the text. So it's not
Right.
a comic like you might imagine it would be. It is just a text parody with some pictures.
Right. Yeah. In Mad Magazine, you would more commonly see it would just be like text with images next to it, so it would just be like a story or something, and then on the sides, a third of each thing would be taken up by illustrations. Whereas here, it's kind of been stylized as though the text is like, yeah, it's pages from the book. So it'll say like, they're kind of like at an angle as they're like laid out across the page and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah. They call this parody Animorons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we need to go through. We're going to dissect this until it's completely wrung dry of any humor that once was in it. We
Hmm.
need to overanalyze and and give our feelings about all of these elements, because I do
Yeah.
think,
If
there's an art to parody, and I think we are true experts of it.
Sure, of course, yeah. Now, if we go too far here, we might not have time for Vegemorphs, which of course we will be giving the full book treatment.
I think we'll have time, honestly.
Okay.
So Animorons, um, I mean, we'll probably just read a lot of this out loud because it's not very long. This is
Yeah.
very short. This
Yeah,
parody.
this is quite short. Yeah, so let's look at the first quote unquote page, which is the front page. This is the cover. We can talk about the cover of Animorons. It's got a
Wow.
quote. The quote, it
Yep.
says, "The truth is out there. It sure ain't in here." Right? So there
Kind of
you
funny,
go.
but there's no dot dot dots. It's just a
Mm,
period. So I feel like they
that's
really
true.
missed a tick there.
Yeah, no, this is a one daughter. Don't know what's up with that. Uh, the book is called The Ripoff, and then it says the charging $4.99 for this book.
Which
Um,
that you saying commenting on the price of the magazine, which was $2.25, and them saying the ripoff, I guess this really puts into
yeah.
context 1999. It's like, oh yeah, the book I guess costs twice as much as this magazine, so they're saying it's a ripoff. $5 for a book. How much would a Animorphs book cost now? I don't think it would cost. Honestly, I feel like it shouldn't cost more than $5. Maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah, I
Like
feel like $4.99 wasn't even right. I feel like it was $3.99 for a regular book, but I might be
maybe
wrong on that. I'd have to
isn't it
go look
on?
at one of my
Yeah.
books. Yeah, I could go do that right now. I'm not gonna.
Okay. Anyway,
This was published by Scholastic,
could you
right?
spell
Not
that for me? Just sounds the same as
yeah.
Scholastic.
Skull, like a skull.
Oh, got him.
ASTIC. Right.
Got
And
him.
instead of their like little book, it's got like a skull and crossbones. And it was written by AK Applesauce.
This really is just the epitome of the Mad Magazine style
Yeah, just
parodies. I mean,
switch
I'm
it
not a
out.
mad head, so I'm sure there's degrees of this, and I'm sure there's
Hmm.
some that are genuinely funny and good. But from on some of the worst ones, it is just this kind of, is that funny? Like
Yeah.
it's just a different word. Get it? Like it's
Yeah,
not.
no, that is a staple of this kind of thing for sure. Where it's just kind of like, oh, it's irreverent. See, because this one, it's the ripoff. See, that's not good. It wouldn't be called that. Haha. They're ripping you off. Haha.
I think that is why this humor really begins and ends at like 10 to 13 because it really hits. It's amazing when you're a kid. Same with when I was getting into Weird Al too, even though I think he has more longevity, but it's that perfect time period when you're first being exposed really to the idea of sarcasm and being irreverent and not just accepting things as they are. And once you have seen that a million times, there's very little appeal to it.
Yeah, I mean, like I think it probably does depend. I suspect if I went back and looked at some of the stuff that I used to enjoy, I'd be like, Jesus Christ, because it feels like this, right? But I think there's probably going to be varying degrees where like occasionally somebody will do something really clever, and you'll be like, oh, that's good, I like that.
I'm also thinking about from this time period, South Park. You had like Chimpokomon.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is, an example of a much more clever angle and take on those things where there's like an actual story and it's not just literally, hey, what if their name was this name? Are you laughing, kids?
Right, yeah.
A lot of this is as a kid too, just going, oh, like they're talking about a thing I know about. I feel smart. I feel like I know about Pokemon and Animorphs. This isn't over my head. I'm smart because I get the joke.
Yeah, I mean that's a kind of interesting here because when I look at this cover back here, it's got Pokemon, Tarzan, Animorphs, American Pie. Like, if you're a kid, you know these things. Whereas, like 100%, Mad Magazine was putting out stuff that I did not know what the fuck it was. Right. Like I had no idea what the fuck it was. Like that, I think there was a parody in one for like the Royal Tenenbaums, and I was like, the fuck is this? What is this? I had no clue, right? And it's just like that's not targeted at a 12-year-old. They don't know what you're talking about. So I guess adults did still read Mad because they were like, oh, I'm 60 and I still love my Mad from when I was a kid or whatever.
Yeah.
So this is, to be fair, this is a lot more excusable than that kind of thing.
American Pie is sort of an outlier there, though. I mean, that is an older skewing.
It is, but only a little bit. Like, because you're saying 10 to 13 and I was saying 12 to 15, and honestly I could see 18-year-olds not quite having grown out of it yet.
Sure.
But yeah.
Losers. Not like me. Not like me, an adult man doing an Animorphs podcast.
Right, exactly. How do you feel about this art of this guy turning into a dog who's peeing on a fire hydrant?
Right, so that's the morph on this cover. It's just I guess that's supposed to be the main character. It just looks like a 40-year-old man. But
yeah, I mean, the problem is that it's in this very caricature style. So it does it 100%. And he's too hairy.
Yeah,
it makes him look like a 40-year-old man.
It's a little weird and gross. It is one of the better. I mean, it's better than the Vegemorphs cover. I'll say that. It is. It gets the idea across. It does look like the cover. It taps into what you're going to see a lot in the illustrations of this, which is they took this angle. I'm not sure I fully understand. That is, oh, kids turning into animals. Okay, what's the joke angle we take there? I got it. It's funny that they're turning into pets, right? Imagine if your kid was always turning into your pet, then you'd have to scoop their litter box and they'd be eating the furniture. It's like I guess they could maybe do that. It's not really what happens in Animorphs. I guess that's an angle though. That's what they really run with here. I don't know that I get it. What are we doing with that?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't even know that I have much to comment on. It feels very much like first idea you have, right? Like we're gonna kind of do Animorphs, but like literally the first idea you have for a dumb. Here's a take, okay, that's the one we did.
That it really feels like the author of this did not communicate with the illustrator. I don't think these illustrations were like. complement the text. They almost seem opposed to it.
That could easily be, yeah.
All
So
right.
I'm looking at some of the illustrations next to this. Here's there's a spaceship landing. It says alien parking, $6 per day. And I guess there's some slugs chasing after a kid.
Yeah, I guess they're like Yerks, kind of.
Yeah, then there's here's a slug sitting on top of a kid's head drinking his brain with a straw, and the kid's making a Jar Jar Binks face. Like I
It's a
don't
good
know
way to
how
put
else
it.
to describe it.
That is another angle they took here, is that these aliens suck your brains out, which is not really what Yerks do, but hey, it's a parody, right? They're
Yeah,
exaggerating for comedic effect.
right. Yeah, and again, I guess that's an exaggeration, right? That they suck
Yeah.
the brains or something. I don't know. Sure, they're related to brains.
It sounds like they just, I don't know that Dan Fiorella did read an Animorphs book, or if someone he just heard what they were about, and he also kind of knew about body snatchers and 50s Martian movies, and said, "Oh yeah, like they suck your brains out and stuff." I don't know.
There
Kind
are
of went with it.
some details in here that make me feel like, at the very least, he got a plot summary from someone who did read the first book.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
But
you're
you
right.
might be right that he didn't himself.
Yeah. Or again, that might have just been on the illustrator's
Yeah.
creative liberty. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
or
think
like
there's some
maybe
brain sucking in
Speed
there
read
too,
it,
though.
made 10 bullet points. What
Right.
was in there again? Fucking, yeah.
Okay. So,
Chapter 1.
chapter 1. But don't worry, each chapter is like 3 paragraphs, so
Yeah,
this won't
we
take
could
that
read them
long.
all. I don't think we will.
We could read them all out loud to you, but you can go read them. They're on scans or on Seropedia if you want to see them. The names of the characters in this version of the book are Drake.
And by Drake, you actually mean that's his code name, because he can't use his real name, which is
Is this the one where he's John Simpson, or is that a different
John
one?
Simpson. I'm looking right at it. He's John
Okay.
Simpson. And his friends are Runty Edison, Keiki McIntyre, Tubby Martin, and Harpo Marx, spelled with a K.
Yeah.
How do you feel about these names?
I don't get them at all. Harpo Marx. Okay, Mark sounds like Marco, I guess.
Right.
But then it's also kind of a parody of Harpo Marx. Again, this is the thing. If I read this when I was a kid, I would have gone, I know about the Marx Brothers. That's funny because I know about it. And that's where that begins and ends.
Right. No, 100% that is true. But I also feel like if I read this particular one as a kid, I would not have gotten the Marx Marco connection. It's like, it's so much of a stretch. Like how,
Yeah, well, I think the other ones are even more of a stretch.
I mean, yeah, no, I don't even know what all of these are supposed to be parodying.
So Runty is Rachel,
Right.
Keiki is Cassie,
Right.
and Tubby for Tobias.
Right.
And then,
but I don't like
that's it.
necessarily know who all of these people they're trying to go for are.
Oh yeah, like I couldn't tell you what, like if that's Harpo Marx, is Runty Edison supposed to be another celebrity? I don't know.
It has to be, right? This has to be somebody.
I don't know.
Because otherwise it's just it's just gibberish.
I think it's just gibberish. I feel that between the two of us, we would recognize at least one of those names, and we don't. Maybe a listener can tell us.
I feel like there is every chance, based on my memories, that these are references that the 50-year-old writer made to pop culture, thinking that kids would totally get it, and maybe one of them does.
Tubby Martin is Ricky Martin. Is Tubby, I don't know, Tubby, is there like a jazz singer, Tubby Martin or something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, think like Harpo Marx, go back about that far.
Yeah.
And see if there's somebody you could find.
No, and there's also no substance. It's not like, oh, Marco is Barco because he turns into a dog. Like, it's not like, oh, Cassie loves to eat cake, so she's cakey. There's no thought behind that aspect of it.
Yeah, no, and that is something that I would expect here.
Yeah.
But they don't do it.
No. Instead of Visser 3, it's the evil Visor.
That's one of the worst.
That is so funny.
Like, that is just like, we didn't even fucking try. Like, what does a visor have to do with anything? Nothing. It looks, it's kind of similar. Fuck it. I don't have anything, okay? You told me I needed to make a fucking Animorphs parody yesterday. If you'd given me, like, a week, maybe I would have come up with something. This is what you get.
And then, now this is a big deal. Yeah, we're going to see this again. Instead of the Yerks, they're the Jerks, which is spelled the same but with a J.
Yes, which is a little bit different than what we're going to see next time. But yes, these are the Jerks with 2 E's.
Which, I mean, this. What else are you going to do, right? That is the obvious. I mean, we did it in reverse. We took Jerk and made it Yerk.
That's literally what we did. Yeah, we can't even really complain.
No. And that, like, again, at least that is something. It makes sense to an extent. It's not just, I don't know, they're the works because that's what I want on my pizza.
Right. And it does, even right here, it sets up a joke. Is it a particularly clever joke? No, but it is a joke, right? It's, the math teacher who flunked you? He's a jerk. The Little League coach who benched you is a jerk too. Blah, 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 right? Like, you get it. Right, at least I'm trying to make a fucking joke. It's not the fucking evil visor.
Yeah, and there is something to, I think another angle they're taking here is, oh, kids' books are dumb because it's kind of just about wish fulfillment. And they're saying, oh, these books are lazy because it's just telling all the kids that, of course, all the adults in your life are really evil. And isn't that ridiculous? It's not really very funny, in my opinion, the way they do it, but it is a take.
Yeah. There is any take here whatsoever.
I don't know. This and Vegemorphs also do this thing where one of the areas they feel is the most ripe to mine comedy from is the fact that they can't tell you their names or where they're from. So, of course, constantly they go, I can't tell you, like it says here, I can't tell you that we all live in Maple Groves, Illinois, just outside Chicago, exit 7 off Interstate 104. But you did.
To be fair, you complained constantly about this as we were going through the series, so.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, this is not terrible. It's not like I see what they're doing. I don't know. There's subtler ways you could have done it. Maybe it's because I read Vegemorphs before this, so I was like, all right, come on. It's sort of just lazy. It's just sort of the most obvious way to do that joke.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is very lazy this year. And while it gives mad vibes, it does make me feel like it's probably worse than average. It makes me curious to go back and see. But, we said these chapters are very short and we weren't going to read the whole thing. I think we've read like half of chapter 1 out loud so far.
Well, we have to give people a sense of what it's like.
Right. So how do you feel about this? They got given their special powers not by an Andalite, but by a Coors Light. Eh? Did that maybe salvage it a little bit for you?
Fuck you.
That made it a little funnier?
Fuck you.
You like it now, right?
Again, there's no, why? It doesn't even sound the same. It's just, hey, that's a thing. Here's a thing. Do you know about this thing? Kids, you know about Coors Light, don't you?
Yeah, you could have at least gotten the illustrator to draw fucking Elfangor drinking a beer.
Right.
That would have been good. You know what? I think that would have saved it for me.
I mean, unless it was through his hoof, I would be upset. Yeah, that's I don't know if that's worse than Visor. I guess it's a little better.
It's yeah. At least there's anything to Coors Light. You had to think of that. You didn't have to think of visor.
I mean, the guy was probably drinking one as he wrote this. That's
What the
why.
fuck should I call him? Oh, shit. Perfect.
It was like, oh, I'm working on this cracked parody. It's due tomorrow. I'm really stuck on this one. He's talking to his friend. His friend's like, yeah, that sounds rough, man. Hey, you want a Coors Light? Say that again.
Oh,
okay.
God.
All right.
It's due tomorrow. We're probably going to say that a lot more. So this is page 2.
Yeah.
So we got new illustrations, new chapters. Chapter 2.
And again, the illustrations are all, most of them are like, hey, your kids, you got newspapers on the floor, because now your kid is the one peeing on the floor, not your dog.
Yeah. His mom's whacking him with the newspaper, being like, how many times do I have to tell you, get off the couch, you're shedding?
And there is an alien slug drinking from her brain.
Right.
By the way, drinking from her brain, I just noticed the straw is backwards. He's drinking out of the bottom end, and the top flexy bendy part is
I
going
did not
into
notice
her
that.
head.
I mean, I guess it makes the angle work out a little bit better. No, that's so weird. That's some like just AI shit, but it didn't exist. Like, you know, a human artist wouldn't have drawn that.
That's the cracked magazine touch. It's wacky. Also, you get a
joke.
There's a bonus parody at the bottom. There's a kid holding a leash saying he's going to walk himself, and his shirt says Tommy Middlefinger.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty funny.
They never stop. Also, I just noticed, boy, the details you notice really looking at these. Mm-hmm. In the bottom left, there's a kid who's okay, I thought he was a horse, but clearly he's a cow because he's being milked.
Yeah.
But his body just looks like too lean to me to be a cow. Anyway.
Well, it's because he's still part human. Like, you'll notice his hooves are just hands, and he's got a watch.
Yeah, I was going to say he's wearing a watch. That's an unknowing, Tobias does that. They kind of, they lucked into a correct parody.
He's like, moo, there's an old guy there. Honestly, this is a little bit fetishy.
Maybe to you.
Like, I just think that it's a little fetishy. You know.
Well, a lot of Animorphs is a little. See, that's an angle you could take for a parody.
What about this above? There's like the kid's like sitting down in front of his dad, and the dad's like a dog, and the dad's like, "Son, we've decided to get you spayed." I mean, come on. Come on.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fetishy. This has no relation to Animorphs at all. It's just, what if your kid acted like your pet? That is not even close to what Animorphs is.
Yeah, it does feel like the illustrator just had no communication on this. They were just told that they're like animals, and slugs eat their brains. And they're like, okay, I can work with that, I guess.
Also, how you know that this illustrator is a boomer is one of the newspaper's front page says, Augie Orion hits Homer. The most fucking 50s ass newspaper headline I've ever seen.
Yeah, I gotta say, these newspapers are not very funny. Like this, because this is the sort of way you're supposed to interact with these, right? Like you're supposed to be looking at the details of these like fun little cartoons as you're reading it. I do expect funnier headlines.
Yeah, they're not funny at all. So, what happens in chapter 2 and 3?
Well, let's see. In chapter 2, it's kind of weird. He keeps calling himself Drake and not John Simpson, but he calls everybody else by their real names. Like, didn't we abandon that? I don't know.
Cakey sounds like Cassie, and John Simpson doesn't sound like Jake, so he had to revert.
Well, John is kind of because it starts with a J. Sure. I don't know. He's like licking himself. There's a joke about kibbles and bits. We should have done reference lists for these. Cakey found out that assistant principal Chumpman is a jerk. So that's what they find out there in chapter 2.
Chumpman, not the worst.
Yeah, that's honestly fine.
Yeah, that's on the level of jerk. It makes sense. Chumpman.
The graffiti on the wall of the boys' room was right. Chumpman sucks.
That
Get it?
I
'Cause
think
they
is because he's sucking his brains out.
with the yeah.
I think that is the funniest joke in this whole thing.
I mean, I'm not
And
gonna
no
argue with
surprise.
you. I'm not sure
No
I
s-
agree, but I don't have a counterexample, so I'm not gonna argue.
Okay, then in chapter 3, now here's a line. The gang met up under the bleachers where the others quickly updated me using hip language and pop culture references, just like real teenagers, so readers can better relate to us.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's something. That's kind of, I guess.
That seems like the kind of joke that's in your wheelhouse. Like you would, if you were making a parody, you would make a joke of that type. I think
It's meta. It's commenting on itself in that way. Now I don't know that I can condone the shifts in tense throughout that sentence.
I mean, I'm not saying you would have written that specifically.
But again, that is at least a take on actually what Animorphs is. I mean, I don't know that I ever, maybe it's just because we're so far removed from it now that it's nostalgic, but I never felt like the slang and references in Animorphs were forced or pandering, really. I don't think that's how I would describe them, really.
Yeah, they're frequent, and sometimes they're like, "Oh my god," but forced is not necessarily correct. What about
But
TPM?
you know.
Cool is cool. Does that feel forced?
No, I literally say that. I say that every week.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And this
I don't know.
one, yeah, we find out Tubby is stuck as a snail instead of a hawk.
Right.
Because he took him too long to get to the Yerk place. So it feels like you've got the beginnings of a joke here, right? Like you can't stay too long in Morph, and it takes a snail too long to get there. What if instead of a hawk, it was like the opposite? Like it's not, you know what I mean? It's like there's concepts of an idea here.
Yeah, I suppose it would be funny because a hawk is cool if you got stuck as an animal that sucks.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah. Again, please communicate with your illustrator. It would be a funnier joke if there was a snail.
Yeah, none of this shit is represented in the pictures. It's strange.
Yeah, and I do think like the more I'm thinking about this, the more I'm like, no, I think based on what I remember as a kid, I would have an expectation that at the very least the illustrator and the author, talked. It's strange.
It seems like the illustrator might have read what he wrote. Honestly, I bet they were just so they probably cut this shit so close with deadlines that they're in two different parts of the country, and the editor just says, you need to send me this, you need to send me that. I don't care what it is. The magazine prints in 2 days. Let's just fucking go.
Okay, how about, you know what? Here, I'll give you a joke that might be better than Chumpman sucks. All right? They want to morph into animals and spy on Chumpman in the school. So, I asked, what kind of animals do you find in school? I know, blurted Harpo. Fish.
I gotta be honest, I didn't get that when I first read it. Do you know why that is a failed joke? It's because he should say, what kind of animals do you find in a school?
Yeah. Yes. No, 100%. It's because of how it's phrased.
I just thought that Harpo was stupid. I thought that was the joke, is that he's dumb and thinks fish are in school. Yeah. Anyway, he turns into a fish, and then the other two turn into cats and try to eat him.
Yeah, he loses a fin, I guess permanently. Like they bite off his fin, and then when we get to the next page, he's going to be missing an arm or some shit.
Yes, they do not have that.
Again,
it doesn't grow back.
No prosthetic arm in the drawings.
No, well, let's talk about the drawings on the final page of this.
Oh boy, these are the ones right here. Holy shit.
So first in the top left, there is I'm going to call her a buxom dame.
Mm-hmm.
in a dress, bending down to kiss a frog wearing a crown, like you would
Yeah.
kiss a frog and he'd turn into a prince.
Yeah. How would you describe this frog's expression?
He looks lustful.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bit of drool coming from his mouth. He's sort of doe-eyed and romantic,
Mm-hmm.
staring at her. There's hearts around them. And he's saying, his speech bubble says, "Fooled ya. I'm not really one of those animorons." So I guess he pretended. What happened
Pretended
here?
he was. So she was all like, "Ew, I don't want to kiss a frog," and he was like, "Don't worry, I'm actually a child." And she was like, "Oh, well, you know."
But presumably he must have told her, "I'll turn into a prince." That's how you get a girl to kiss you if you're a frog. I know. I've used that trick many times myself.
He said he was an Animoron. I'm not going to lie, it's really hard for my brain to not just fly over that word and read it as Animorphs and be like, what, didn't they change the name?
Yeah, no, they did. It's subtle.
Mm-hmm.
And then underneath, there's two alien slugs who, for some reason, are wearing space helmets now, even though...
Right. Well, they have no straws to suck from, so they gotta have...
Okay. They need a brain, otherwise they can't breathe our oxygen. Sure.
And what's the slug saying?
One says to the other one, "I'd sure like to suck her brain." Because he's a horny alien slug, and that lady's hot, so he wants to suck her brain.
That's what I'm always saying. I see a hot lady and give you a nudge. I'm like, I sure like to suck her brain. You know how I am.
This is just, this is a horny boomer cartoonist.
Yeah.
And that's what he wanted to draw. He didn't really care what the assignment was. He's like, "I'm not getting paid enough for this. I'm drawing a sexy lady."
What? It's listen, fucking Cracked Magazine cartoonists, they're all going to be perverts. For sure. Because all artists are secretly perverts to some degree. And if you're in this career... Right, so this is boomer pervert. He knows he's drawing for an audience of 13-year-olds, so he's like, hell yeah, this is what you get.
This is what you get.
Now, how about this next one?
Yeah, the last illustration here is two apes behind bars in a zoo, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know what's happening here. I'm going to be completely honest. Is this I'm a little scared to say what I think is happening here.
You should be, because I agree with you. So there's a ape, a guy ape, and he's holding some flowers. He's got some kind of he's got a box of candies. He's clearly coming up to romance this girl ape, who presumably this girl ape is an Animoron, and she's grabbing the bars and saying, "Oh, please, please, change back now, please."
Jesus fucking Christ.
A little bit problematic.
Now, it's also confusing because you say he's holding a box of candy. Yeah. But he's covering up half the word, so all I can actually see is can.
Yeah, it looks like a book.
And the illustration, is that even an illustration on the box, or are those just flies in front of it? Like, it's very unclear that is a box of candy. It doesn't look like, they took a Hershey's bar and wrote her schlumps or some shit. Yeah. Like, it looks like nothing. So
here's my other problem with the construction of this joke, beyond just, it being a sexual assault joke. So, okay, the dude monkey, who presumably is a real monkey, who thinks, Runty or Cakey or whatever is a whatever.
Or Harpo,
is a lady
who
monkey.
knows?
Or it could be Harpo, that's true. He's carrying flowers in a box of candies, which is very anthropomorphized. So you might assume that's a human in morph. The girl ape has a bow in her hair and is speaking. But this is a cartoon, and if if a real ape was like, "Oh, sorry, you're just a human. I don't swing that way." I wouldn't think that was weird in a cartoon. So, like, when I look at this immediately reads to me as one of the Animorphs has morphed into an ape because he really wants to get with this lady monkey. But even as a monkey, she's not into him.
But of
And I
course
don't
she
think that's
is
the
saying,
intended reading.
maybe she's saying, please change back now to him.
Oh, to him, yes. I mean, that's the problem, is you read the text and you're like, what? And then you realize it must be the other way around. But, like,
I
even
honestly,
the joke
yeah.
just, like, doesn't work on it just doesn't work.
I have looked at this thing a couple times already, and this is the first time I really fully processed what the joke actually is.
It's
I just didn't get it.
I
Well, and also in the front, there is a sign stuck to the bars that says "Poking Stick Rentals."
mhm.
So maybe that could also be part of the joke, is that she just hates being in the zoo and being poked with sticks. Maybe that's you're supposed to be a little something for the kids who don't understand sexual assault.
Right. No, I think this is a Tommy Middlefinger. It's like they're in the zoo and you're not supposed to torment the animals, so that's kind of funny because it's edgy. So that'll
Classic
be,
Tommy
you could
Middlefinger.
rent a poking stick. I mean, the joke is so bad in so many, like even it's just a disaster.
It's also, both of these on this page strayed so much farther from what Animorphs is at all.
Yeah.
Like, it was already not really Animorphs parodies before, but these are, if you saw these in a vacuum without the word Animor on, you would never link them to this book series.
Yeah. Although I will
It's just an
say
excuse.
I do at
Yeah.
least really like this horny frog. Like, out of context, like if you just isolated this horny frog from the panel, that'd be a good, like, profile picture.
Hey, you want to hear my impression of a horny toad?
I do.
Rabbit. That's one of my favorite jokes. Anyway, the text on these pages.
Yeah, right. So
Drake turns into a salamander.
Yeah.
They do. I guess this is them making fun of the pop culture references. They have a paragraph where he like references Austin Powers, and he says, compared to this dude, Darth Maul looked like a Ken doll.
It's hard to know if this is actually making fun of the pop culture references or if it's just doing them because pop culture references are funny.
I thought the latter at first, but I do think because of the earlier nod to it, I think it is supposed to be, a parody.
Yeah, there's also like a Kentucky Fried Salamanders thing. I don't know. He walks in and Chumpman is eating everyone's brains, and the evil visor's like, "Stop that, Chumpman. We need their brains for world conquest or something."
Okay, so then let's just get to the end of this here.
Yeah, because the end of this is holy shit.
The craziest thing since that girl morphed into Hitler, you know?
That's a
one
joke
the
for only a
patrons.
special few, yeah.
What happens at the end? Yeah, go ahead.
The rest of the Animorphs show up and they morph into, you guessed it, the Animaniacs. Yakko, Wacko, and Dot. And they use cartoon antics like cream pies and exploding cigars to fight the evil visor until he drops them through a trapdoor, and then they are trapped in the bathroom, but they're like, we could flush ourselves down the toilet with poop in it, so they escape. That's it. The end.
This Animaniacs thing is the strangest detour. Again, as a kid, I would have loved this probably because I loved the Animaniacs.
Yeah.
Who are also known for doing parodies like this, which is, again, makes it even worse because you're just incorporating a more popular thing that also parodies pop culture.
And again,
what?
What if instead of a fucking monkey getting fucking raped, you drew a bunch of
Okay.
Animaniacs? You know how much
Yeah.
better that would have been just to see some fun Animaniacs like taunting a monster.
And let's be really clear here. It's not, oh, I turned into Yucko. It's
No,
there's no joke to it. They
no,
literally just turn into the Animaniacs and they just start doing straight
it's
up Animaniacs shtick.
it is fucking disaster movie level shit. It's not good.
Then the epilogue.
See, you know
Yeah.
what else it reminds me of? A little special for
Mhm.
those of you who are on the Patreon only is
Wow.
the ending of one of the fan fictions that I wrote. There's a little twist at the end where things get a little bit different than you might have thought they were going to be at first.
I suppose it is a bit like that in a way.
Epilogue.
Epilogue, whatever. The only part of this, they say, if you like this story, we got lots and lots of others you should buy right now. And don't try getting them at the library. You have to buy them. Which that's not even how libraries work. Like, it's not like the libraries still pay for those books.
Yeah.
It's not like the publisher's like mad about it.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's like it's very clear like that's like it's not commentary. That's not the point here. They're not doing commentary, right? Because if they were doing commentary, it might like matter to any degree like how does Kay Applegate feel about libraries and reading and money? It doesn't matter because we're just trying to be like cynical and edgy. So like
Right.
buy stuff, right? It's
Yes.
all consumerist. Haha. Bet you've never heard that before because you're 13.
Yes.
Whoa,
100%.
I never thought about that.
It's
I
the
was taking
most
everything sincerely.
bottom of the barrel. You can just apply that to literally
Yeah.
anything you're parodying. You can always at the end go, "Oh, we just want your money." And it's like, yeah, I guess.
I mean,
Okay.
this is the Pokemon issue, so probably they just got off of the like we made 50 games, so you had to fucking buy them, which is a
Yeah.
legitimate critique. And then they were like, "There's like 50 of these books too. They're probably all exactly the same. It's just a cash grab."
Babby's first capitalism hellscape joke.
You want to read the names of these?
Yeah, the other Animor moron books they recommend: The Litter Box, The
Uh,
Trip in the Car,
ah,
The Neutering,
woohoo.
The Salt Shaker with an
Oh, it's got
exclamation
Tubby.
point.
Yeah, that's weird,
The
and no second capitalization either.
Weird. The Mad Vet. Huh? The Heat. Ugh. What the fuck? The Pound. And the Escargot Special. I guess they
That's
eat
another Tubby. Yeah.
Tubby. Yeah.
Yeah, Tubby has a rough time in these. Yeah, I mean they're all literally just about them being turning into pets, which doesn't happen in the book here. It only happens in the art.
Absolutely. I mean, this is not a good. Look, I don't know how much of this is me just being okay. This isn't for an adult audience from 2025, but just have to say this is bad.
I think it's pretty bad even for the target audience. I literally think you could just if you were like I have to restrict myself to Mad Magazine and only, you should be able to do better than this. And
Mhm.
hopefully that's also true of Cracked, but maybe it's not.
But hey, for 225, how can you complain?
You can't go wrong. It's not a ripoff like those 4.99 Animorphs books.
Now, there's also this. Are we done with Animorons?
Uh, sure. I don't have
Okay, so
anything else to say.
it only took us around an hour to discuss those 3 pages.
Uh-oh.
Next up is Vegemorphs from Arthur.
From Arthur, Vegemorphs.
Okay.
This seems to be like the go-to, right? Since
Sure.
there's 2 of these, right?
Sure.
The whole book that got written that we'll eventually get to is called Vegemorphs. In Arthur, when they needed to parody a kids series, they called it Vegemorphs. And it does feel like this is the more obvious way to go, right?
Honestly, I'm surprised that Cracked didn't also do it.
Yeah, I
It
mean,
is the most immediate one.
the problem is that you do then have to like sort of change, right? Like it's way easier to be like, and then they turned into an animal and made a joke about that. If they turn
Yes.
into a vegetable, then that's already the joke, and where do you go?
Well, we'll find out in a
We
minute.
sure will find out.
But this Arthur episode, so people may not know. All the
Mhm.
Zoomers, Tim Zoomer listening to this right now
Right.
actually, I think Arthur's like still on, so maybe he does know.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
Arthur, the cartoon based on the book series by Mark Brown. Were you ever an Arthur head as a kid? Not again, not talking about Dudley Moore. This is the
Uh,
aardvark.
I was not. I was not an Arthur head. I definitely saw some episodes of Arthur, but it wasn't like. It wasn't a thing that I ever loved.
I liked Arthur. I don't know how much of an Arthur head you could be. It's not like there was a
Yeah.
fan club or something, but I would read the books as a kid. I watched, I'm sure several episodes of this show when they were on.
Yeah.
Maybe
No, I
maybe
I
I saw this
wasn't
one. Who
into the
knows?
books, and I didn't have enough TV.
That's a
So.
shame. You were deprived. You were reading too many fucking books. Anyway, this occurs. The episode we're discussing is called DW Tailspins, as
Mhm.
in spins a tail.
Right.
TALE. And it's one half of a full episode because these are 11-minute stories. They split, as a lot of kids shows do.
Mhm.
And what happens in this? So Arthur is the main character. For anyone who doesn't know, his sister is DW, and they have sort of a sibling rivalry. And DW is upset because Arthur and his best friend Buster are reading the hot new series Vegemorphs,
Mhm.
and she can't read.
Right. She's too young.
Which, by the way, she seems too articulate for a child who doesn't know how to read. Am I wrong?
I
I don't know.
mean, no, but it is a kids show, so like,
Yeah.
that you have the characters act like kids think they act, right? If she talked like a real kid, the kids would find her annoying.
Like maybe a chapter book would be too advanced, but she should at least be able to read like Goodnight Moon or something. They make it out as if she literally she cannot make out a single word. I
Yeah, I
don't know.
mean,
It seems
maybe I don't remember. They did say there's no pictures in this. Maybe she could read Goodnight Moon, but she can't read. There's too many.
she
Like you
says
get
she
two
can't
sentences,
read.
3 sentences. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, she is. I don't think she's in kindergarten yet, so I don't think it would be
Hmm.
crazy for her to not be able to read. If I
Okay.
remember my Arthur lore right, which I probably don't.
Sure. Oh yeah, I should. You know what? Let me check because I am on the Arthur wiki right now.
Okay. I do believe that this episode came out before Steven Crowder was voicing Brain, in case anyone was wondering, but he's not in this episode either, so it doesn't matter.
I don't even know if I know who Steven Crowder is. Is this
Well,
an internet guy?
that's for the best. You don't need to know. It's fine.
Okay. I kind of wish you didn't even say anything. I hated it. DW is in preschool. There is an episode called Arthur's First Day, which aired in 2021 when she goes to kindergarten. So she is in preschool.
Oh, okay. So she's now finally in kindergarten.
She's canonically 4 years old in this episode. So that is certainly too young probably to be able to read, but she talks like she's
Animorphs.
7 or 8. Like she does not sound like a 4-year-old to me. Okay, doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? Anyway, this episode aired in the 4th season of Arthur in 1999. So maybe 1999 was a peak of Animorphs popularity.
Yeah, and this actually would have been airing in October 99, I believe. That was
that's correct.
The month I got, which would have put it only 1 month before the Cracked parody. So this would have been
they got there
concurrent with
first.
Proposal and the Visser. Yeah, Proposal and the Visser. The Proposal and Visser. Yeah, so these guys got there first. Cracked missed the ball, but they were basically coming at it right at the same time. So maybe this is peak Animorphs.
Of course, it is animation.
Was a little earlier, but
they probably had this episode in the works for several months prior. But
I guess also though, like I'm used to time. Like as a kid, time lasted a lot longer. And if I'm like, I thought peak Animorphs was 5 books behind this, that's only 5 months, right? And there's a turnaround time on making things. So this is basically, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this episode was written by Joe Fallon, who, according to the comments on the Arthur Wiki, people think he's one of the best Arthur writers, and he was a big mainstay. He wrote, for instance, the DW Crazy Bus song, which it gets a cameo in this episode.
I didn't know
familiar with that Crazy Bus song.
I'm not familiar with the Crazy Bus song.
Yeah, if that became, I feel like, sort of a minor meme. It's like this song that she loves that drives Arthur crazy.
I do remember there being a joke about music that was supposed to be something to that effect, and I was like, I don't.
Sirens.
Oh yeah, with the sirens.
They're singing that song.
Yeah, I mean, basically in this, DW is upset because she can't read, and she talks to like their grandma or some shit. I don't know. She talks to somebody, and they're like, "Don't worry, DW, books are for losers. The true art of storytelling is in the vein of the great epic poetry of Homer, which was spoken aloud." And so DW goes and tells Arthur her take on the Odyssey. And Arthur's like, "You're right, books are for losers. Tell me that Odyssey story again." And that's what happens.
Really, this episode is more of an Odyssey parody than it is an Animorphs parody.
Right.
You get essentially a 4-minute condensed retelling of the Odyssey. Calling it a parody is even a little too strong, because it's not really any kind of deviation from just what it is. It's just mashed all together in a very short time frame.
Yeah, I mean, like, from the perspective of like a 5-year-old watching Arthur, right?
Well, this is the genius of writing a kids show, is kids don't know any of those old stories. So you can just rip them off whole cloth, and
and people even like it, because they're like, now you've introduced kids to culture and literature. Like, when they see it, they've like heard of it before. They're, you're teaching them by ripping off the plot of your episode.
This is unironically how I learned about many things from Looney Tunes and Animaniacs and all that. So, and The Simpsons, of course. So I mean, I'm not against it.
That's what makes it such a great gig. It's
right,
good to do it.
We got to get in on that. And by the way, this is a commenter after my own heart on the Arthur Wiki. In 2022, Jules 00877 wrote, "I couldn't stand this episode because there's absolutely no way a 4-year-old like DW can recall such information, especially about Homer's The Odyssey. Get real. No 4-year-old can recall that stuff." Well, I'm with him. I agree 100%.
I think that she forgot most of it and just made it all up, and it just happened to look the same as the Odyssey. Because she's such a good storyteller, which is also a skill that most 4-year-olds have.
Anyway, the actual Animorphs parody part of this.
Yeah.
They love this book series called The Vegemorphs. I mean, we could read out loud all of the relevant parts that are quoted on Seropedia.
Yes, they have the full quote. We might as well.
Oh, let's do it. You be Buster and I'll be Arthur.
Okay.
I don't know who's DW though. I didn't. I'll be DW too.
Or no, Arthur and DW are. I'll be DW, because Arthur and DW go back and forth here.
Okay, sure.
DW doesn't have lines next to Buster.
Oh, sure. Right.
Okay. So
we spent way too much time prepping this.
We're all walking.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. The best book in the series is The General.
I like the specific better. And what about the random? It was so unpredictable.
What are you talking about?
Nothing that would interest you. We're talking about books.
I like books.
Fuck you, kick her in the fucking face. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the first thing that happens. And we can see some Vegemorphs covers here.
Yeah, they're kids turning into vegetables, as you might expect.
Yeah, there's like a little girl turning into a carrot. There's some other kid we don't see. I assume they're turning into broccoli because they got kind of leafy green hair.
They do have a reasonable facsimile of the Animorphs font on the front covers.
Are these two kids animals at all? They don't look like animals. Like, because in Arthur, they're animals.
That's just how. Like, look at Arthur. He doesn't actually look like an aardvark. I think over time the Arthur characters became so anthropomorphized that they often just stopped like trying to make them look like animals. It's really only Buster as bunny ears. That's like it. I mean, Ratburn I guess looks like a rat, but
that is the like haha like trivia fact about Arthur that I'm sure you've heard, which is that if you read the original Arthur book, he does look like an anteater, and it's like he's got to learn that it's okay to have his ugly ass nose.
I fucking read that book.
Unique.
I remember. Yeah. I was there.
And then they fucking took away his nose because nobody liked it and he looked ugly.
But I think it was a little more gradual than that. I think it was sort of the way that, like, you know, Mickey Mouse today doesn't look like first Mickey Mouse. Like,
it's still funny though, because I'm looking at this later picture of this Vegemorphs.
I don't think it's
with Buster reading it, and there's like it's a dog person turning into a potato, and I almost got confused because I was like, did it start as a potato because it's turning into a dog, and then it's like, oh right, people are dogs here.
Yeah. They just half-at. Like, look at Muffy or Francine or Prunella. Like, none of them fucking look like what is it? The Brain is the other character. He just looks like a weird lumpy man. They don't actually look like animals. All right. Anyway, let's do the next scene.
Yeah, the next scene.
Oh, wait, am I Arthur? Oh yeah, I'm Arthur.
Yeah, I could be Arthur if you want.
No. Let's not confuse people. Let's keep it consistent. The Vegemorphs books make the Scare Your Pants Off books look like kids' stuff.
I just read the trilogy. Part 1, then Part 1, Part 2, then Part 1, Part 3.
You can't read it, DW. No pictures. That's still me. Do you realize I found out something I can do that DW can't force me to include her in on? This is probably the greatest moment of my life.
I don't want to read those dumb books anyway.
Don't want to? You can't read.
I don't need to read. I can make up better stories than those.
And that's what she does, ladies and gentlemen.
I tried to flip through a book there where it says that. I don't know if I got it on.
I couldn't hear it, but maybe it'll be in the final recording. Let me just say this in this episode. Arthur is such a dick. Like, I guess it's realistic and relatable because he's a little kid and he's a big brother. So but man, like they don't.
Really
don't you want to make your kids show protagonist likable? He's such an asshole for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is that kids are fucking assholes for no reason, and like especially if you're dealing with kids, like issues like my little sibling annoys me. Then it's just like, they're probably annoying you by doing nothing, and you're a dick to be annoyed by them, but you're not going to connect with, like, don't be so annoyed at your little sibling. They're going to be like, fuck that, Mom. I hate my sibling. So if the TV show's like, see, this character's just like you. He also struggles with an annoying little sibling, and he's going to look like a dick, because you're a dick.
Yeah, I guess you're not wrong. Seropedia lists the known books of the Vegemorph series in its own section. Which of course are the general,
the people
the
want to know,
the random, and the trilogy parts 1, 2, and part 1, 3. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze, so all right, I'm good.
You can cut that.
I'm not gonna cut that now. I mean, again, this is really a very small part of this episode. That's really all there is.
Yeah, that's basically it. It is funny. I mean, I don't know if it's funny. Like, what? It is funny that Animorphs does have a naming scheme that is like characteristic enough to be like known and riffed on. Like, I don't know if you were doing like this generic of an Animorphs parody today, you might not even bother with that because you'd be like, you know, people might remember those books with the people on the covers or something. They turn into animals, I guess. But like, I don't know that people would be like, yeah, it's those books in the bookstore that always have names like the whatever. You know? So like both this and Cracked did pick up on that, which might not have been my first thought, but.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think the writer of this episode must have probably had kids, I'm guessing, who were reading these books. So he was probably just trying to go, oh, what's a thing kids can relate to? I know about I looked this guy up, by the way. He wrote in a bunch of PBS adjacent shows. So I think maybe he was just in tune with the children's literature world.
Mm-hmm.
When did this episode come? Oh, yeah, 99. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how many kids reading Arthur were reading Animorphs. I almost feel like Animorphs is a little older, even at the beginning, than Animorphs is aiming at. I mean, than Arthur is aiming at.
It's interesting. Like I said, I started reading Animorphs when I was like, what, 8, 7?
Yeah, I think that's Arthur range. So
which
maybe
would be in Arthur range, which does feel like younger than the writing appears to target, but maybe not younger than the average audience.
Yeah.
Like, it's just weird that way because, like, you know, this also references the scare your pants off books with the goosebumps, the shivers. And
shivers. Yeah.
Yeah, when we read Goosebumps, you know, it is stark just how much less dense Goosebumps was than Animorphs. I know I was reading Goosebumps well before Animorphs, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where those things are supposed to be targeted because it feels like at the time I thought of them as being targeted at the same audience. Like when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, Goosebumps, Animorphs, they're both the exact same age.
I mean, I'm not gonna pretend like I didn't watch cartoons that I was definitely too old for when I was a kid.
Of course. No, of course that's true.
I was still watching. If I was home from school, I was watching Nick Jr. until I was like 16, probably. I was like, Dora, yeah, this shit's good. I get to stay home and check out Swiper today. Meanwhile, I'm jacking off, you know. I mean, not while I'm watching Dora.
16,
I'm not saying
you say, but like, I'm just gonna tell everyone right now. I've been on road trips with you, and I've seen Dora go on the hotel TV.
That was one time, and it was like 15 years ago. So. Come on.
Boots Daddy.
Okay. We can't, there's no inside jokes we don't even reference ourselves anymore. Nobody wants to hear this. I guess the show's ending, so who gives a shit?
Yeah, it's fine. We can do whatever we want. Doesn't matter.
So I also did watch the second half of this episode. Did you, or did you not bother?
I did watch it.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the second part, which is not related to this at all. There's no Animorphs in it or anything.
We got time to kill. We only have an entire book to do, which is going to be 2/3 of the content of the episode. So
right. So, yeah, in the second half, the character Prunella has a birthday party, and Muffy, I think. Who is Francine? Is it Francine or Muffy? I don't know the difference.
I thought that was Francine.
Who is Muffy? Oh yeah, Muffy's the one with like the paler one, I think, who kind of looks like a chimpanzee, but I don't really know what the fuck she is.
Okay, anyway, hold on. You can't say that. That's racist.
That is what it is. And she, so Francine gets Prunella a doll for her birthday, but Prunella already got the doll, so she's like, "Oh, who gives a shit about this? This sucks." And then later that night, she has basically a what's it called? A Christmas Carol, or It's a Wonderful Life type experience.
Christmas Carol, yeah.
Yeah, where a ghost shows her how hard Francine worked to get the money to buy her that present, and she needs to be more grateful. And whatever, it's pretty standard stuff. But the crazy thing about this episode is that it is established that this is a dream she is having, and it is also literally real. Like the ghost in her dream actually shows her the past.
Yeah, no, a Christmas Carol just happens, right?
Yeah, but
like it just happens.
But A Christmas Carol is a one-off story where you go, oh, ghosts exist in this story. They have powers. Arthur is ostensibly set in an anthropomorphic animal version of the real world. And so to just, in season 4, all of a sudden introduce the idea that there are psychic ghosts who can show you the past is a bit fucking crazy.
I do also love that these ghosts are just around. Like in Christmas Carol, you know, these are Christmas ghosts, right? It's the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future, right? Like there's something special and magical about Christmas that allows these spirits to like show up. And here it's just the ghost of presents past or whatever. You got presents, I can show up. The ghost of school lunches future. I'm just around, man. I'm just around telling you what you're going to have for lunch next week. They're just here. They're not special. Who gives a
They're more
shit?
like guardian angels or I don't even know
Yeah, they
what it
probably
is.
visit a lot of people in their dreams, and people just don't pay attention to it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just very strange that the next day she's like, "You worked so hard for that doll." And she's like, "How do you know that?" And I'm like, "Wait, so it wasn't just a dream where she learned a lesson. It happened." Okay. Anyway, that's Arthur.
Arthur.
Let's get to ironically, the meat of today's podcast.
Oh, that's funny.
Another Vegemorphs.
Another Vegemorphs.
This is the main event here. I feel like very few people
Yeah.
probably listening to this have read this, but I bet a lot of Animorphs fans are aware of its existence.
I saw this book in the bookstore as a kid
Wow.
and thought the idea sounded kind of funny and kind of wanted it, but not enough to actually get it.
Wow.
So
Imagine
I don't
if you
have
had a
it.
copy of this.
Imagine. I'm really regretting it now. I wish if I had, I mean, I could be holding it right now and looking at it.
I can tell you there's a used copy on Amazon right now for $10 if you really wanted it. Or there's also some from only $6.
Okay, 6 is a little bit more reasonable here. 10's
Anyway,
a bit much.
Vegemorphs, the fungus among us.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard not to say it like Among Us.
Right. That's how I always say it.
This is a book that came out in 1998, so this one was ahead of the curve.
Yeah, this one was right on it. I mean, that's because this one's a book, right? The Animorphs was all over the book world by storm, so the book people were like, "Oh fuck, it's got to break containment for the other."
Yeah, this came from Troll Publishing, who I did not look up, but it's kind of funny that a company called Troll made this.
I went to the website because there was a website you could go to in the ebook or on the cover or something, and it redirected to Scholastic.
Oh, interesting.
That's the only research I did, but
did they buy it out?
Yeah, I don't know. Or were they always owned? Yeah.
Yeah, was the call coming from inside the house?
I guess that's one way you could phrase it.
Yeah, that's how I would phrase it. Anyhow, it was written by Leif E. Green. Now, that's a pseudonym for a man named Chris Steinbach. And the only reason I believe we know that is because it's somewhere, I don't even know where this originated. You can see it on Seropedia, it's online.
Mm-hmm.
The concept art of the cover is available. Excuse me. And on the concept art, it says AKA Chris Steinbach. I looked this guy up, couldn't find anything. If you click on his name from Vegemorphs on Amazon, it shows a handful of Street Fighter comic books. So maybe he wrote these, but I cannot verify that. It could be Amazon just finding two people with the same name and linking them. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny when I was looking up the Vegemorph stuff. I was on Goodreads, and I was like, oh, it says Leif E. Green actually wrote 2 books. And the other one is an entirely unrelated gardening book. So I think 2 people just independently had this idea, and they are listed as "quote unquote" the same author.
That is pretty funny. So Vegemorphs. This is a full book.
Yes.
Ish.
So
112 pages.
We have a cover to talk about, of course.
Yeah. So the cover is a kid turning into a carrot.
Mm-hmm.
The cover is horrible.
It doesn't. The carrot. I don't like the carrot. It looks like shit.
The concept art, it looks much closer to what a real Animorphs book cover looks like.
The concept art is so much better.
Even though it's clearly rough and sketched and not completed, the layout is 10 times better.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the fact that they've used carrots for the V in Vegemorphs. When I look at the actual Vegemorphs book, it's just this fucking shit regular ass book the most generic font. I'm gonna talk like this
with a drop shadow that looks like
Yeah,
shit.
it looks so bad. It doesn't look like Animorphs font at all. And this here, like they're clearly trying to make it look like it on the promo cover. The carrot here looks kind of horrifying, but in a silly way. I look at the real one and the carrot just looks like shit. It sucks. And why is the carrot in profile? It starts,
Yes.
the person's looking at directly forward and the carrot's now in profile? Why?
So this is something we've seen in all of these parodies, and also including Humanomorphs, which we covered on the Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
It is very obvious that no one really understood how David Mattingly made these covers. or if they did, they didn't want to put the effort in that he did, because they all look shittier, and this is the worst one. So it's just illustrations. There's no digital magic here. And the bottom is just a kid looking up. It's so strange. The main image you're drawn to on this cover is a kid facing the front, except his eyes are looking upward. And his hand is like kind of over his heart, almost like he's pledging allegiance to the flag or something.
Yeah.
And he's wearing, it looks like a white sweater, but it looks like he's either wearing a spacesuit or a robe of some kind.
Yeah, the sleeves are like baggy. They're like too long for a t-shirt, but too short for a sweater, but it's like really baggy. It's so fucking weird.
It looks like he's wearing a cult robe, like he's about to go drink some Kool-Aid or something, and the background is outer space.
Yeah, and so there's like this weird light thing going from like his head out. It does look like a cult thing.
He's about to ride the meteorite to heaven. Like, it's so weird looking.
He fucking is. And what the fuck is his hand? Does his hand look fucked up to you? Because I look at it and something about the proportions seem off. It looks like that hand and arm should not belong to him. Like, it looks like it's got the proportions of like a toddler's hand. But the toddler would have a hand his size. So like imagine a toddler that's like 6 feet tall reaches out and puts its hand on him from like the wrong angle, and then they just like, kind of photoshopped it in as though that were his hand. Like it's fucked up. The artist here doesn't know how to draw a limb, I think, is the problem.
I do think there is a smaller child standing off camera holding their hand and arm out over his chest.
Okay, thank you.
So then behind him is, the transitions to a morph, which is sort of, I would say, in the vein of the Invasion, where it's Jake turning into a lizard, but like they kind of are sprouting off from his head into the background, which, as you may recall, is it's the first book and it's the least refined of all the covers that they didn't really go with after that. Except this one is even like 10 times shittier looking than that. The transitions are so bad. The second one still just looks like a kid, except now in a completely different pose. His outfit doesn't look the same, and his hair is just spiky now.
Yeah, which the carrot hair is not spiky.
No.
Right? Like, so it's like droopy and long and leafy. Yeah, I don't...
And then the last two are just, he's mostly a carrot, and then he's a carrot. Like, it's really bad. We did a better job than this on our shit podcast thumbnail.
Yeah, it's so fucking bad. How about the little title, little quote thing? It says, "Some aliens come in peace, some come in peas."
I don't like the implication that these aliens are fucking peas. I do like that there's 3 dots after the word peace, though.
Yes, that's good.
And just in case you don't know what this is, it also says a parody of the best-selling Animorphs series. Or maybe that's a legal thing.
I flip back to the old thing, and again, it's like, it's the same fucking text, but it's like, I don't know, it's in a little box, it's off to the side, it kind of looks like how it would be on an Animorphs cover. Here, it's just in this blocky, shitty, font. It's like aligned to the left in a way that makes it look awkward and bad because it doesn't, like, it's too many lines. It's 4 lines. And it's just, this looks so, this is the most just, I slapped this together in Photoshop in 30 minutes thing ever. This is some fucking graphic design is my passion shit.
Yeah,
It looks terrible.
Cover was illustrated by Shi Chen, who I have no idea who that is.
Well, I'm not surprised.
I mean, it's also, I feel like that name is probably so common. Like, I can't find any reliable source of what else they've been involved with.
Yeah. I'm almost wondering, because it's such a downgrade from the concept art, if the concept art looked too much like Animorphs and they were like, oh fuck, we're gonna actually trick people, and that is not the goal here.
Maybe. This cost $3.95, by the way, US, so $1 more than Cracked a year later.
Okay.
Over $1 more.
Maybe Animorphs was $4.99. Or maybe this was just the cost of an Animorphs.
Yeah, I really hope that this was not more than an Animorphs. I mean, it is fewer pages, shorter, and maybe not by much. Well, it's 112 pages. How full those pages are is another discussion. So, all right. Shall we get into this book, Vegemorphs?
Oh, actually, I have a question for you about the back cover.
Yeah.
Okay, because like there's the, it gives a little description. What is this joke in yellow here?
You want to read it?
I don't want to, because I don't even quite know how to pronounce it. Like, this is some culture shit that you probably know and I don't.
Wait, do you not know what that is?
I don't know what this is.
You really are such a fucking lower class piece of shit.
I have no clue. Maybe I will when you say it. Maybe I'm just stupid. But I don't actually know what it is.
I think it's both. It says, for listeners, oh, how crude hyphen ite, as in, oh, how crudite.
Don't know what that is.
Crudite is the platter of veggies with like dip, at a party. It's a crudite. You get some crudite. It's like carrots, celery, ranch. That's called crudite.
Sure. Okay. I know about when you have vegetables and there's like fucking
you
dip
call
there.
You call that
veggies and dip.
How come there's no meat in this here? Wilma, where's the barbecue at? Is what you call that.
We call that, oh, look, there's some fucking dip. We're gonna go get some carrots and shit.
You call that, ooh, you must be fancy boys from the city. You're eating them carrots. Ooh, you think you better than us? I got a stick of salami I'm going to go eat in my room. That's what you say.
Stick of salami? What are you talking about? I'm going for like the deep fried fucking corn on the cob. Fucking shove it in the deep fat fryer.
Just anything with a vaguely French name you're completely unfamiliar with.
No idea. Yeah, nobody uses French around me. What the fuck?
Now I want to quiz you on some other are you familiar with I'm just gonna say antipasto? You know what that one is?
Yeah, okay, I do know what that one is.
What about canapes?
Like, oh, I know that one too. Damn, look at how classy I am.
I don't. First of all, I don't believe you.
No, I did know both of these.
All right. How about bruschetta?
Okay. No, you're still doing ones that I know. I think it's just this. It was just this one.
Well, and Vichyssoise was the other one.
Right, and Vichyssoise, yeah.
Right. Anyway. Oh, what about what's that other one called? Charcuterie. That's like the same kind of thing, but with meat.
Right. Yes. I wouldn't have been able to tell you the difference.
Okay, great. Right.
But I was like, yeah, that's like there's stuff on. There's like a board for that. There's stuff on it. That's what I would have been able to tell you.
Yeah. All right. Now it's time to get into Vegemorphs, but I am glad that we took that detour.
Yeah,
because that's
I felt like I needed to ask that question.
I'm glad you did. So do you have an outline for this, or are we going to go through this like we would a real
I mean,
Animorphs book?
sort of. I don't have a real outline, but I did bullet point out everything that happens in it just in case.
I mean, should we just
We
give our
want
general
to.
impressions of this before we kind of go through it?
Sure.
Because
Go
I
for
mean,
it.
I do want to say,
Mm-hmm.
I think this might be the worst thing I've ever read.
So you would rate this as worse than the Cracked article?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, if for no other reason that it takes much longer to read.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say I don't know that I would rate it worse than the Cracked article on a like individual section basis.
I would. I think
But
I
it
would.
is, as you said, however many fucking pages.
This really reads like something. This is the type of writing I did when I was 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I would write
Yeah.
stories like this and put them like on my HTML website
Mm-hmm.
and thought these are the funniest things in the world. And let me tell you, they were funnier than this.
I believe you.
But that's the level we're talking about. What this has still over the under the Cracked article
Mm-hmm.
is there a lot of this doesn't even have jokes in it. Like,
Yeah, well, they got to fill out a book.
There are many times where it didn't even seem like they were trying to be funny.
Right.
Like, they were confused.
Well-
They thought they were actually trying to start a serious series called Vegemorphs.
Well, the joke, you see, is that I retold the Animorph story, but with vegetables. So just the fact that it exists is the joke. So I don't need to write any more jokes. Like they're walking along the farm instead of the construction site, and they see vegetables instead of the andalite. That's the joke. That's it. You don't need any more.
Reading this book is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. It was like walking uphill, like it was like treading water for like continuously for an hour. I really felt like it was mentally exhausting to get through every sentence of this book because it was so actively unentertaining. Every fiber of my being was telling me, stop reading this, and I had to keep going. It took me probably 3 times as long as it actually should take you to read it because I just had to push through it.
Listen, I would say, I mean, this book is not by word count more than half of an Animorphs at most. I did take multiple breaks.
Yeah.
Like I did have to put it down.
Every chapter I was like, oh my God, it's not over.
Yeah. I mean, yes, that is the difference. This makes you feel like you've been ruined by TikTok because you read it for 5 minutes and you go, I'm bored. I'm done reading. Can I go look at something else now? 5 minutes is all the attention span I got.
Yeah, I was doing laundry as I read this, and I was excited to go check on my laundry. I couldn't wait. It's like, oh, thank God I get to stop reading and go see if my clothes are dry. This is awesome. This is, I mean, who bought this book? Nobody liked this book. Okay, we can talk about it.
At the time, I was right as a kid to be all like, it's not worth it to get it.
So right.
I do regret it in hindsight because I could have it. I don't want to read it.
Of course. Okay. So how does it start?
Okay. So it's the same.
We really amped everyone up to hear this.
It's the same shit. I can't tell you my first name or my last name either. And yeah, okay. We got an Animorphs intro. It's like the Cracked thing. There's jokes about how you can't You can't keep secrets, whatever bullshit. They turn into vegetables. Don't be careful eating vegetables. We find out about the evil aliens who are called the Jerks. This time it's spelled with 2 R's and not 2 E's.
No, 2 K's. 2
Wait,
K's.
what?
That's what I'm seeing, unless that's a typo and they spell it differently everywhere else. The first instance is 2 K's.
Oh, it is 2 K's. It shows you. Jesus Christ, in my notes I wrote it with 2 R's.
Well, you fucked up, my man.
You could see how into this I was.
I mean, they should have gone with
Jesus.
2 R's because you're one typo away from a hate crime. But hey.
Oh, God. Okay. We meet the characters. They all have names that kind of sound like the vegetables they turn into. So the main character is Kyle or Kale. His cousin Randy or Radish. Carrie, Carrie is not the love interest. Carrie is Tobias or Carrot. I don't know where Carrie's coming from. I guess Carrot, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's where it's coming from.
his friend Tommy or Tomato, which is kind of like Marco, and the love interest for Cassie, Olivia or Olive.
You mean for standing in for Cassie, but
standing in for Cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we do see they do go out of their way to tell us that Randy quote isn't a close cousin as far as the family goes. According to my mom, she's my 4th cousin once removed, whatever that means, unquote. So they are setting up the idea that it's totally cool if we put some sexual tension in here, but unfortunately we are not going to have any more characters in this book, so there is no kissing cousins sexual tension beyond this point.
Unfortunately, yeah, we were really disappointed.
Right.
This is just one example of, so why is that in there?
Right.
This sentence, this passage about what cousin she is to me, it's not funny. Like, it's not even an attempt at a joke. It doesn't pay off. It's nothing. Why? It's just there.
Well, because it's a book. So there's got to be, it's like the Animorphs books where they might tell you something.
Right. They that is true. They do tell you things in those books.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess that is kind of the issue, right? Is that it's going to be hard to write this book such that everything in it is a joke. And like, part of the point is that the book's existence is a joke, but it kind of sits in this weird middle ground where like there's too much stuff that's neither funny nor like interesting, right? Like it's not like you're like, haha, I'm reading about these characters and it's funny because they're going to turn into vegetables. It's like these characters aren't characters in this book. Like there's nothing here. It's just more text.
Imagine Spaceballs, but there's just no gags. It's just what if Yodel and Pizza the Hut or Yogurt, sorry, not Yodel. I got it wrong. What if Yogurt just kind of said the same stuff Yoda says?
Yeah, you were thinking about Yaddle there. I know you. Well, I know it's on the brain.
She never strays far from my thoughts. And what's also, I think, disappointing right off the bat, this book can't even commit to its own stupid premise, because immediately in chapter 2, he goes, you know what? I can't call them Tomato and all that. Let me just tell you their real names. Fuck off. I'm reading Vegemorphs. Call him fucking Tomato. Let's fucking, again, this is like if in Spaceballs, he was like, I can't even remember all their names. What was the Chewbacca called? Dog guy. It doesn't matter.
Oh, fuck.
They just went, you know what? Instead of Dark Helmet, man, I was just kidding. His name's actually Darth Vader. Like, what the fuck are you doing? It's it's supposed to be funny. Commit.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work. His name's Barf.
Barf, right.
I was like, I knew it was like a 1-syllable thing. There we go.
Let's talk about Spaceballs.
Yeah. We find out in chapter 2 that they like to hang out at the bingo parlor at the mall because the Biff Bunch, which is a bunch of bullies led by a guy named Biff, bullies them, and so they
Again,
hang out at the bingo parlor.
yeah, no, this detail is just completely insane.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, already, let's put aside the bingo parlor thing for a second. A joke which is not even a joke; it's just gibberish. The Biff Bunch, their names are based off of like vegetables. Why wasn't this like the Banana Bunch and his name sounds like they don't,
Yeah.
no, his name's just fucking Biff. I'm going to see more of this problem. Every time there's a named character with a regular human name, I'm going to be like, you set up at the beginning that the names were going to be jokes. Never
Yeah.
again will the names be a joke.
Could have been meat based. All
Could
kinds
have
of
been.
things you could have done.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean,
this needed a punch up. This needed a rewrite from the cracked people.
Right. Yes, it did. They throw apple cores at him. Why not the Banana Bunch? They're fruit based.
Yes, they do.
Come
That is
on.
how they bully them. They throw apple cores at them.
Yeah, that's kind of funny, right?
I don't know. I don't think it is.
What the fuck is this bingo parlor nonsense?
I don't know, man.
Are bingo parlors funny?
I don't know. It's a lot of this book is sort of following the playbook of random humor, but it's not even random in a way that I think a kid would think is funny.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, where wouldn't kids hang out? A bingo parlor. Are you gonna do anything with that? No.
Yeah.
Just, that's it.
Yeah. They should have hung out at the spork shop. That would have been funnier. Maybe
Sure,
kids would have liked that.
Yeah, why? Maybe, I mean, whatever. Like, they do go to a vegetable restaurant later. I don't know. Why do they need to hang out I don't know. There's just none. This book doesn't need to have been written. They should have cut out all of it and just not written it.
You're right. No, you're right.
But
you're not wrong.
We need to go to the bingo parlor to introduce Farmer Withers.
Mm-hmm.
Who that's
Do
his
we?
That's because I think he's near there.
Well, he owns the bingo parlor.
That's what it is.
But they're gonna walk through his field. So why not just say we walked through Farmer Withers' field? Like, why would Farmer Withers have a field? I know. Better introduce him with the bingo parlor. Now it makes sense. Farmer Withers has a bingo parlor. I get it now. Okay. Why? What?
Let's
Whatever.
note that Withers is his first name.
Yes.
So
they can't tell you his last name, which is too bad because it's apparently really funny.
That is what it says. The book literally says, there is something funny here, but this isn't the place for it.
That's not what we came to read Vegemorphs for.
No.
No.
Nobody is here to laugh.
Shit out of here. I do think
instead of the construction site, it's Withers' field. Yeah.
Right. I do think it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of funny. Not like in the book that their Tobias guy, they decided that he's really cool and good looking and smart and all the ladies love him. And Kyle sucks. And then for some reason, Kyle's still Jake. It's a strange decision. It almost feels like a decision based on Tobias being Christopher Ralph. But like, isn't this too early for Christopher Ralph?
I think so. It might, it's a little early. Maybe the show would have started by the time it was published, but I don't think by the time they were writing it.
It's a weird decision.
Yes, I don't really get it. And of all the characters, Carrie is the only one who really has a personality. I guess Kale or whatever is just, his personality is just, well, he's the guy you're listening to.
Yeah.
But Nobody else has anything at all. They're not even two-dimensional. They just exist to turn into vegetables in scenes, and that's it.
I would say that Olivia is one-dimensional.
Okay, sure.
I think Randy and Tommy might actually be zero-dimensional. There might be nothing to them beyond their single first name. They got a point.
Yeah, so instead of Elfangor, they run into, oh god, what's his fucking name?
Yes, his name is Prince Brassica Oleracea Italica Cruciferae.
Are you laughing yet?
Because Brassica oleracea is the broccoli species, and the Italica variant is broccoli specifically. It turns out a lot of vegetables are broccoli. We're learning today. And cruciferae is an older term for the family, right, of plants that broccoli belongs to, which is now called Brassicaceae.
Wow.
And the joke here, you see, is that that's the name for the family of plants. So you see his family name is Cruciferae. So that's pretty funny. It's a good joke. And we're learning a lot about vegetables here in the same way that you might read an Animorphs book and learn some fun facts about animals, you know, like what their predators are, what their behaviors are like, or what their physiology is. In this one, you can read, you can learn taxonomic classifications about vegetables and also what colors they are. So it's very educational and teaches you a lot of worthwhile and useful things to read a book like this.
It's a good thing that this is our second to last episode, because I can't do any more after listening to you say all that. It has to end. By the way, their spaceships look like mushrooms. There's also, I like just a smidge of turf rhetoric in here.
Oh yes, I took note of that. Yes,
when he says that he's Prince Brassica, and Kyle says, "Well, I guess it must have been a he, because a prince is always a he." Just a little,
right.
Just to make sure readers know that.
Right. In the modern day, maybe that's problematic. I don't know.
It's just a strange. There's a lot of sentences in here that have no reason to be here.
It is weird. It's strange. Anyway, yeah, so there's the regular vegetables you eat aren't like real vegetables. The royal vegetables, like this 6-foot tall talking broccoli that showed up, Prince Brassica, they are like, they mostly live underground and stuff.
That's right. Unlike Andalites, they live on Earth. I guess, or no? I guess they did come from space.
They did come from space, and so did the jerks, these mushrooms.
Right.
But they've been hiding out because they've been losing fights against them. There's like a giant flying saucer that like touches down and stuff.
Yeah. The jerks are all fungus based, so mushrooms, or they could just be fungus.
Right. Anyway. Correct.
Thanks. So he gives them the spiel, and then in order to give them the power to morph, Kale has to go underground and get a salad dressing, which is like the cube.
Yeah.
And that's what gives them the power to morph.
Yeah, there's a joke about like a fork in the tunnel, and it's a real fork.
One of the only jokes, to its credit, in this whole book.
Okay, here's something that I did think was very funny. I don't know if it was even intended to be funny. He's in there and he's looking at pictures of Prince Brassica's family. And Kyle, I like that you're committing to the bit and calling him Kale. Maybe I'll do that too.
I just can't remember his real name.
And Kale goes in and he sees pictures. Yeah, he sees pictures of his kids, and like there's something about the upcoming Broccoli Father's Day. And
yes,
it's like, I couldn't think of a vegetable-based pun for Father's Day, So it's just broccoli Father's Day.
Yes.
And honestly, that's hilarious to me.
It also, I think there's another thing in the same place where it also says, like, you're the best broccoli dad or something. Like it as if I would say, oh, happy human Father's Day.
Right. This really speaks to the level of quality of the humor in this book that is sending me into hysterics. I'm so desperate for a joke. I see broccoli Father's Day. I'm a man in the desert. I see the mirage on the horizon. I start hooting and hollering. I'm dancing for joy.
The whole passage when he says, okay, you have to go underground and go here and get this for me, I'm thinking, all right, I guess this is like this is a whole thing. This is kind of a departure from Animorphs. They have to go on like a quest now.
Well, if you don't remember, because it's such an inconsequential part of the first book, Jake does have to go back onto Elfangor's ship and bring the cube out to them.
Oh.
And you might forget that because it's not important, but here
and in the TV show they don't do that, so I forgot probably.
Yeah, maybe. I don't even remember what they do in the TV show.
I think he just has the cube.
But here, they're like, we got to fill these pages, and we're just going to do Animorphs, so he's got to go get the cube from, well, it can't be the spaceship, so I guess there's a fork in the tunnel.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a refrigerator. I don't know.
Yeah.
So then you get to see the jerks, and their leader is Fun Gus.
Yes, which Fun Gus.
I guess it's better than Visor.
Listen, I despite the fact that they didn't even try to do Visser, I kind of think that's better than Visor. You know what? Fun Gus, I'm down with a good Fungus Among Us, Fun Gus, fun guy joke. Not Mushroom. I love all of these. Something that is a little bit odd that I'm just going to bring up now because I think by the time we get to it, we're going to be exhausted and want to die. This is the only time Fungus appears. We're going to get to the climax of this book. There's going to be a gigantic fight sequence, like maybe kind of the one by the Yerk pool. And Fungus just doesn't show up. He's not there. He doesn't matter. He never shows up again.
I don't think I even realized that. I didn't miss him.
I only realized it because I got to the end of the book and I was like, what did Fungus do in that fight again? Because I'm trying to take bulleted notes and I'm like, he's not here. Is he? Unless I just fucked it up like I did with the double R, double K thing because that's how little I care. But I did go back and look.
Well, we'll see when we get there. This is also when they give us the description of what the jerks are like. And they introduce this concept that I didn't even process or register or understand until much later in the book when I went, oh, that's what they're doing, I guess. Like, I didn't get it here. They describe Fun Gus as wearing a short-sleeved shirt that practically screamed polyester, and he had a bunch of pens and pencils bulging out of his pocket protector. He's also wearing a clip-on bow tie, black glasses that are held together with a Band-Aid. So I think I just glossed past this and was like, what the fuck? Like, what? I don't know what that means. Why is that happening? I can't picture what the fuck they're talking about. He's a mushroom. I don't understand. But it becomes clear later on, the definition that Leif E. Green is working with for the jerks is like the classic. This is like the Revenge of the Nerds, like 1940s. Like that guy's a jerk.
It's an archaic. Yeah, he's dressed like a jerk. Yeah, this is an archaic jerk. This is not how kids used the word jerk in fucking 1998. Yeah,
yes, it's not that guy's being a jerk because he's rude, or it's like, oh man, those bunch of nerds. That guy looks like a jerk. Like I can't go to the prom in this. I'll look like a jerk.
Right.
It's not like, what the fuck era is this guy from that he's doing this in a modern kid's book?
Yeah,
It's crazy. Like, I didn't even understand it until much later. It hit me, and it's
yeah, no,
really stupid.
I did not figure it out here either. Like it was later that I was like, is that what he's trying? Like, because he's acting like a jerk, like that. Because that's not how. I guess if you're from the 1940s, yeah, it's
If you're
so
in
odd.
Pleasantville, that's like what you would say.
It's so
So
weird.
yeah, this is just
I
this guy is not from this universe.
I wonder when that shifted. Right? Like when did
Mm.
jerk shift over to mean like somebody who's rude and sucks as opposed to like a loser?
It's got to, I'm my guess is the 80s. Because I feel like you see 80s movies where they'd be like, don't be such a jerk, you know? It feels
Yeah.
like that's a
Yeah, that's probably right. Cause like it does feel like I mean this would come from like a soda jerk, right? Like that's why you'd be kind of a loser
Mhm.
or
Yeah, yeah.
something.
Yeah, I'm looking online. Apparently there's a Twilight Zone episode where Rod Serling calls a sad loser guy a jerk.
Mm-hmm. Sounds right.
But yeah, soda jerk would be, and so that would be from the 50s. I have no idea.
Yeah. I don't
But
fucking know. I don't know. But yes, they are doing that with Fungus. He's here. There's a fight between he's got
also
trick of
the
fighting,
jerk, right? Anyway,
right? Like the jerk, right? Yep.
right. Sorry. Okay, we're off the jerk
Nope.
now. Go ahead.
That's no, that's fine. I'm anything you can do to break up the it's welcome. Um
Please, let's talk about
there's
crudité again.
they've got trick of fighting, I guess that's how you say it, and
I have no
rubrum.
idea.
And I mean I looked these up.
Okay, I'm glad you did.
And yeah, so as you might guess from the context of the story, trichophyton is a fungus responsible for athlete's foot, and then trichophyton rubrum is a fungus responsible for athlete's foot. And I'm not entirely sure what the difference was because I didn't read the Wikipedias that thoroughly. So I don't really know. I don't know what's going on here. Which, again, it's so weird to be using words like trichophyton, like as opposed to like, your
Yeah.
hork-bajir. You know, it feels like it feels like you are trying to teach kids something, right? Like you are trying to be all like, in the same way Animorphs teach, I'll teach them about fungus. That's the name of the thing responsible for athlete's foot, but it clearly didn't fucking teach me anything.
It feels
Because
like this
even when I
book.
looked it up, I didn't know what the fuck it was.
Yeah, I didn't even bother looking it up.
Maybe I'm just stupid, but
No, I mean, I sort of figured like that's either a real thing or it's a play on a real thing, but I
how could
didn't
it be a
know.
play on a real thing? It's so like if it was a play on a real thing, I was gonna
I don't
say
know.
you'd think it would be funny, but maybe
Well,
you wouldn't think that.
maybe you wouldn't. Like maybe the real thing, maybe it's like trick a fight, and so he like turned it into trick a fight, and like it's that now it's an alien or some shit like that. But the whole this feels like it was written by Millhouse. This feels like an 11-year-old dork at summer camp
A jerk.
like didn't want to play sports, so they gave him a typewriter for his indoor activity, and he was like, this is very funny. What if they turned into Tricko fighting?
I mean,
That's the audience of this book.
yeah, I was gonna say that is who it's written for, like for sure. There's no question about that. I don't know if that's who wrote it, but
a jerk. I actually like vegetables.
God. Oh God.
Anyway, yeah, that's the bad guys. They're fungus, which also I thought they're all poorly described. I
Yeah, it
didn't
doesn't.
really
I don't know what
how
they
to
look
picture.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, they sort of describe when Fungus turns into a giant gray blob, but that's about as good as it is. Brassica has some asparagus with him, the asparagus officinalis. It's like his royal guard, and they all fight. Um, I guess we see at this point that the royal vegetables can like shoot veggie beams. They like zap you with vitamins
Yeah.
and minerals to energize you or something, but it hurts the jerks. So like that's what's
Yeah.
happening in the fighting is the jerks are trying to like engulf the veggies and they're zapping them. And
Please understand, listeners, the Vegemorphs don't just they can turn into a literal carrot, but they
Right.
also can turn into it's basically a carrot person hybrid. So they
Right.
are walking around with arms and legs and mouths still. They
Right.
just look like a carrot person.
Now they haven't done that yet because they haven't acquired any
Right.
vegetables. So
Which you do
yeah.
by sniffing and inhaling one deeply.
Yes, I think I have the exact quote somewhere or other, but it's something to that effect. They you have to inhale their essence or some shit. Yeah, they have to discover its essence. Oh,
Just
and
get
they
your
and
face
they
right up in it.
right, and they can't instead of 2 hours, they can't stay a vegetable longer than the recommended cooking time.
Almost a joke. I mean, give points for that one. Kind of a joke.
Right. And also, and this might be of interest to some of you who are wondering what's happening right now and don't quite understand things, you're getting a little freaked out. They can also turn other people into vegetables by talking to them about the most boring thing they can imagine. So any of you out there right now who are feeling a little bit like maybe a potato, that's what's going on.
This is one of the weirder additions here because it doesn't come from anything in Animorphs.
Yeah.
It is a brand new idea of that you can give your morph power to other people too. You don't just turn them into a vegetable. You could actually give them the full power.
Mhm.
But
I don't really know why they needed to get the salad dressing bottle. If Brassica could just talk to them about it to turn them into a
that's
vegetable.
a great. Maybe this is a more potent version of it.
Mm,
Maybe you don't get to give the power out unless you
I
get the
see.
salad dressing.
Right, that makes a lot of sense.
It'll make more sense once I write my Vegemorphs fanfic.
Honestly, it's probably going to be 10 times as good as Vegemorphs, at least.
It has to be.
Yeah, how could
It
it
has to
not?
be.
What
I
about
mean,
this Blondie reference
where was that?
where he says one way or another we're going to find you, we're going to get you,
Oh.
get you, get you, get you.
Yeah, I mean, this
Is
was
that funny?
another. It's horrible, and it's also again. I really felt like I might have written that a joke like that when I was 9 or 10. Kind of again back to the cracked thing where it's just if you're a kid and you're like, oh, my mom played that song. I get it.
Your
That's
mom?
it.
What kind of Philistine non-Blondie lover are you?
Oh, sorry, you had all the Blondie albums when you were 9 years old.
Right.
Yeah, I should
Uh,
have known.
all
Anyway,
right.
I thought you
Fucking.
meant Blondie the
Oh,
comic
like the
strip, by the way.
comic, yeah.
Yeah.
That
I thought there was
also,
going to be eat a big sandwich or something.
you know what? If Dagwood showed up and ate Prince Brassica in a sandwich, I would have loved it.
Oh, hell yeah. That's the end of my fanfic.
That's your fanfic right there.
All the Vegemorphs are in the fridge and they're like, "No, Dagwood, don't." And then they're down in his belly. By the way, we didn't talk about the vor in Arthur.
When was there vor? I think there
The-
was, right?
He's a big cyclops in the Odyssey
Oh, right.
section, and he eats a couple
Yes.
of the kids, and they're like hanging out in his stomach.
Right. And you know what? Here's the funny thing. Those kids don't get rescued. I was expecting in that episode, because this is a kids version, that they were going to rescue those kids. But no, the Cyclops eats them and then DW leaves and they're eaten. Those kids died.
This is how much we hate Vegemorphs as we're trying to go back to Arthur.
Which is it's more than Vegemorphs can do, because like it looks like Prince Brassica dies here, and of course Prince Elfangor dies, but we're gonna find out Prince Brassica survives because Leif Green is more cowardly than Arthur. Can't even fucking kill a broccoli.
We have to. We cannot linger this much on the rest of this book. We have to start speeding through some of this.
Well, we're gonna see what happens because I have things.
No, please, God, please.
All right. Cut to next morning, and Kyle wakes up, and Carrie's there, and Carrie's like, he's like, I morphed into a carrot, Kyle. I'm Carrot Rick.
I mean, I'm glad you said it, but it really is. So it's so similar to Pickle Rick. It's actually really the most unintentionally funny thing about this whole book is that it made me think about Pickle Rick.
Carrot Rick.
He basically just does the bit. He's a
he
carrot.
does.
He's like, turn me over, Kale. Go get some salad dressing and rub it on me. It's oh man, I don't even know. It's incredible.
I'm losing my mind a little bit.
Of course, this mirrors Tobias turning into a cat for the first time.
Right, yes, of course.
Dude.
He turned into dude. This is a carrot. This is crude. Ite.
Right. Wow, look at you using your new word.
I love learning new vocabulary words.
You're going to be going around the rest of the day. Hey, should we get some crudité tonight?
I will. Now I'm looking. I can't help. I noted this line where he says, "Get some nice, cool salad dressing and spread it around on me like suntan lotion." I did write a little note here that says, "Did Dan Schneider write this?" I think I might have written that multiple times, later as well.
It really seems explicitly sexual that they are not vague about it. The vegetables derive pleasure from lying around and having dressing rubbed on them.
Mm-hmm.
So do with that what you will.
Yeah, I don't. They also throughout this book, starting especially here, they describe being a vegetable like as though it's like being a color, as though that's like fundamental to being a vegetable in some way. Like Carrie says, like, I feel orange as a carrot, and like what?
Well,
there's a bit later where Randy's
so
like, I was a lima bean and it made me feel green. There's a part later where Kyle says, I smelled corn and it smelled yellow. Like, what? In what world does no.
Well, listen.
An orange feels orange.
I don't like that you're going to make me defend Vegemorphs here. But I do. I mean, the problem with this is that it isn't funny. But it is. I do think that's part of what they're trying to do is they're trying to convey that this is a very alien feeling that you wouldn't understand unless you actually morphed yourself. That you could feel what yellow feels like.
But why? Like what?
I can't tell you why.
When you imagine what it would be like to be corn, why is yellow part of it?
Just because carrots are so orange, you feel orange. You get to be a color. It's fun to be a color. Every kid would love to be a color.
But like, if they morphed into a poison dart frog in Animorphs, they wouldn't be like, I feel so colorful.
Maybe they should have. Maybe that'd be good.
I just feel like maybe they should have focused on something more based on like what the actual process of like a corn's life cycle is or something. I feel so fertile.
Ugh.
Something like that.
Don't ever say that again.
You mean during the day?
Okay, so they reference Attack of the. We also meet Kyle's brother Bryce, who is their Tom. Again, there's no joke to that name.
I spent some time trying to figure out, is it like Rice? Maybe?
Sure.
Bryce is just such an odd name that it really felt like maybe I was missing something, but yeah, I wasn't.
Bryce was very common in 1954 when this author stopped paying attention to the world. So
sure,
it's just a name to him.
Yeah.
And he's suspicious.
Yeah, he's suspicious because he's like sick and rashy, and I guess he also works at Farmer Wither's farm. But he gets mad. He's like, "Why you got this carrot in your room? We'll get bugs." So he takes Carrie and puts him in the vegetable drawer. And it's a real problem because, this isn't a 2-hour time limit, right? It's a recommended cooking time limit. So Carrie's like, he might get stuck as a carrot. Anyway, I mean, I guess he leaves.
He doesn't though now.
Yeah, he doesn't yet. spoilers. Kyle takes him out and like runs him under hot water because he's cold. And so when Bryce comes back in, he's like naked and wet on the counter, and it's awkward or something because they
Yeah.
kept the no clothing thing, at least for now. No, I mean,
Yeah,
we're going to find out not really. Why, though?
there is a part, I think that you just described, where he comes back in and presumably they're at least shirtless. Or he's like, you have to get dressed quick. So he gives Carrie his shirt.
Yeah, so Carrie is sitting there soaking wet in his shirt with no pants. He's got like a dish rag over his lap. And he's got his shirt off. And they're like, oh, it's just really hot.
Yes. And Bryce is not like, I should call a therapist or my parents because something is wrong.
Did Dan Schneider write this?
But they don't, like, he doesn't act the way that you should act in this situation, which is like, what the fuck's going on, Three's Company style.
It's not a gay panic joke. It's just weird.
Yeah, or, like a child sex panic joke, maybe. Yeah, that's what I'm more concerned about.
Well, Bryce is also a kid.
I guess. I'm sure. I guess he must be. I don't know. Okay. It's also established here, I believe, that when you're in vegetable form, time feels slower to you, much like it does when reading this book or talking about it.
Right. Yes. Or
it's
probably listening
metaphor.
to it. They're really kind of getting a bargain here, right? This is going to be like a 10-hour episode in perceived listener time.
That's right. This will take you longer to get through than our fucking sponsored episode, probably. Yeah, it works from no angle at all. It's like an Inception thing where you think it's been an hour, but it's only been 5 minutes, except Kale is talking to Carrie as a carrot, but he is a human. So how does he have a different perception of time? Does he think that when Kyle's talking to him as a human, does it sound like, hello? Like, is he waiting a long time for him to finish his sentence? How does he have a different perception of time? Is he seeing shit in slow motion? Is he like the Flash? What's going on? And why? Then why? Why? What does that add to anything? It's not funny. What is that?
Well, because Animorphs can only stay in morph for 2 hours, but they can only stay in morph for recommended cooking time. So recommended cooking time feels like 2 hours, you see. So that makes sense.
Now that you explained it, it is funny.
Right. It's not a joke. It's just, it makes sense.
Oh.
Like, it's just how, that's normal. That's logic.
We also, another symptom of becoming a jerk. So look, it's very different. I mean, let's just lay it out here. It kind of develops over the course of the book.
Yeah.
But the jerks don't go in your brain directly. Instead, their whole plan is, first they weaken your immune system by giving you a strep throat. And then once you've had that, now they can infect you with their fungus. So that's why then you get athlete's foot or something. And then the more fungus you have, you start acting like a quote unquote jerk, which in this context means you dress in an uncool way and you make a bunch of goofy, lame jokes.
And you like cartoon videos, quote unquote.
Yeah.
You and your friends want to watch a cartoon video?
He does say that. That is what he asks. So that's their plot. That's how the jerks operate.
I don't quite understand this streptococcus thing with strep throat. Like, there's some stuff about, like...
why isn't it just fungus? Why don't we just skip right to the fungus?
Right. I don't understand. There's stuff about bacteria, and there's stuff with, like, oh, if you use antibiotics to kill them, it strengthens like the fungus and makes you more susceptible to it, which this feels like it's a real thing. This feels like there's some kind of real interaction the author knows about where it's like, oh, if you take too many antibiotics, you disrupt the biome and it like fungus can move in or some shit that I don't know about. I've never heard of this. I don't know anything about this. I've never been infected with fucking fungus. Maybe I have too much bacteria on me. And but like it's not really thoroughly explained here, and I've never heard of it, and I don't understand it, and it's just like, what? Why is this here? Like, what's going on? It's not. It hasn't really taught me how this works, and it's kind of assuming that I understand this when presumably the target audience is 7 years old, and it's so weird. What is it?
Yeah, I can't tell you. And it doesn't matter. It does not matter if you understand it or you don't.
No, it doesn't matter. You can just be like, yeah, that's the lore. The bacteria, they gotta kill them rather than use antibiotics. They just do, okay?
I did not like the fact that he's making jokes about flu and flu, two words that are different but sound the same. And it was not clear to me that what is that? You know, just none of this is anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then what happens?
Oh,
they
find out Brassica's alive. They're all over. For some reason, everybody in the group comes over to Kale's house to eat dinner. So all the Vegemorphs are there. There's some fucking bullshit. Brassica told them that they can turn their clothes invisible when they morph, so they can morph clothes now effectively. Yeah. I don't understand any of that. Why was the clothes thing in here? What the invisible? What, don't they fall off when you turn into a cat? Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. Fuck it. We don't care anymore. So they all go upstairs to morph into their like namesake morphs. They make a point of telling you just how fucking hot and sexy Olivia is when she turns into this goddamn smoking olive. How much Kale wants to fuck her. I don't know. Norman Drainwater is there. That's Bryce's friend, and they almost get caught, so they have to leave.
I do find it kind of funny. I probably shouldn't say what I'm about to say,
but
because it sort of happens in Animorphs too. It's just much better written than this. But when they have to describe a character as being beautiful, but they're kids, so obviously you can't you can't actually be like, oh man, here's what was so beautiful about their body, because that's fucking wrong. but you're writing from a child's perspective, but the kid is just like, she's just so beautiful with just no detail. There's no actual specificity at all, because you just can't go anywhere. It's just like, she's just the most beautiful. What does that mean? I don't know. Just picture whatever a very beautiful child is to you. I'll let you do the work on that one. You can't blame me for that. I opened the door, but you walked through it, buddy. Anyway.
I don't know why you assumed I would walk through it. Maybe that's just some projection on your part there.
I meant our listeners are the ones who are doing
okay,
it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's do you have any thoughts on Norman Drinkwater? I mean, Drainwater. What?
Yeah. Again, we're just doing it again. Oh, they're real names, but we can't, but we did. So yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing.
Okay. There's a lot of vegetable puns around this point.
Yes. At some point, like halfway through, they do just start relentlessly doing vegetable puns.
Yeah. Like, too much.
They're constantly saying, oh, we can beat them and shit like that.
And that's kind of what I signed on for. I didn't sign on for the rest of this bullshit. I was just expecting lots of stupid vegetable puns, but I don't know, maybe too much.
Yeah, maybe too much.
It's just a lot.
So they run into the Biff Bunch.
Yeah, the Biff Bunch shows up. They start saying walk here to mean like whack or whop or hit. And they use it a lot.
This is the worst one. The worst.
I'm going to walk you.
What is this pun? It barely, it doesn't even work. It's such a stretch.
Yeah.
And they use it so many times. Terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, so their big plan to beat the Biff bunch is you do the thing to turn them into vegetables because they see them morphing and they go, you got to teach us how to morph now too. And they say, okay, we got to tell you a real boring thing and you'll turn into veggies.
Right. Well, they're not necessarily thinking to beat him at this point because once they turn into veggies, Carrie's like, so now that you can turn into veggies, do you want to help us? And Biff's like, fuck that. I'm not going to help you.
Right. Okay.
So that's when they're like, we got to make up a plan to beat him.
Well, we need to say the boring thing they come up with is a made up recipe for oxtail soup. I'm going to read it, what he actually says. Take a couple of oxtails,
turn into a veggie.
Add some raisins and some ketchup. Don't forget fudge frosting and some vanilla goo. Then put the whole mess in a big pot. Add 4 quarts of water. Put the whole thing on the stove and simmer for an hour or 2. This is not boring because this recipe sounds disgusting. If you wanted to bore someone, you would just say a normal recipe.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't really read it. When you said it out loud, I was like, what the fuck? Oxtail soup? That's what that's supposed to be?
It's not even that long. No one's getting bored by the end of this. They're going, what? Huh?
The fuck? I just assumed that it wasn't worth reading.
Well, you were right about all of it. I mean, it's another instance of sort of random humor, but it's just not even the right place for that. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I will say just about this section, I have this quote pulled here.
Okay.
I have to tell you the most boring thing I can think of. Then you'll be able to morph into that vegetable. After that, you can become any vegetable you want. That's cool, said Biff.
Really
that would be my response.
That's cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, mine would be, we're going to beat the shit out of you nerds.
Yeah, and you'd be right.
Then they start turning into a carrot and you just be like, I'm going to fucking beat you up even harder, you freak. So what they actually do to the Biff Bunch is extremely fucked up.
It is ridiculous. So this book, I don't quite have the exact publishing month because I had multiple different months. I had one source that said January and one that said September. Now, if it was September, this would have been concurrent with The Solution. So they might have known about the David trilogy at this point, but not necessarily the ending. I do think, in some ways, this is more fucked up than what they do to David.
So they teach them how to morph into vegetables, but they don't tell them about the cooking time.
Right.
So, and then they say, go down to the vegetable restaurant, whatever it's called, go to the salad bar, Veggie Village, and you'll meet vegetables and it'll be cool.
Yeah. And in fact, Randy kind of flirts with him. Randy's like, they're like, I think you're kind of cute, Randy. And she's like, yeah, well, meet me at the veggie thing as a vegetable.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
We'll rub salad dressing on each other. It's going to be hot.
Right.
But what happens is they go there, morph into vegetables, can't turn back, and presumably they get eaten by people at the restaurant.
Presumably they get eaten.
And the kids all go there, and Kale doesn't realize their plan until he figures it out, and he's like, wow, that was clever. This is fun. And all the kids are just gleefully going, hey, you might be eating our friends.
Yeah. Yeah, they're asking all the vegetables, that's not Biff, right? Because I don't want to eat him. Somebody else can eat Biff. Their names, by the way, are Biff, Bongo, Spike, Sid, and Rudy, if you wanted to know the Biff Bunch. This is where we find that out.
Thanks. And then they all morph into vegetables and scare everyone out of the restaurant so they can meet with the prince. And we meet his whole family. I didn't think they would actually show up. We actually get to see his broccoli wife and child.
Yeah. They show up. Everyone's running and screaming. His kids are smearing salad dressing all over themselves. Here's another did Dan Schneider write this bullet point where where everyone, because the athlete's foot outbreak is everywhere, and everyone's asking like, how come you don't have athlete's foot? And Randy says, I tell them I never take my shoes off. I like to see them stare. Just,
Sure.
well, now that that's on the brain, I'm seeing it,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay, actually, how about this too? So they're talking about the mall with this veggie village. They say that theirs isn't one of those big malls like Seattle, Washington, or Berkeley, California. And I'm wondering, do you think that this was their attempt to guess at where Animorphs took place?
Yeah, maybe.
It's just a wonder I had.
Maybe it is. All right, I don't know how much we need to skip over here. That we learned that instead of the sharing, they have meetings called the snoring, which is
Yeah.
maybe honestly the best attempt at a pun name in here. It's at
Yeah,
least on the level of cracked.
I'm kind of sad that that you skipped our emails because I was planning to do a the snoring, but
Yeah, well, you can still do it next week. Don't worry.
I could do it next week. I don't think I want to think about this ever again, though.
I wouldn't have remembered that they call it that, and I would have just been confused.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, Brassica is here, and he's like, you got to go to the Snorings and cure all the jerks, and you can cure them by smearing them with antifungal cream, and you give them the old veggie zap with the vitamins and minerals.
that's how you do it. That's the
Um,
plan.
Here's a question. There's a part where Kale says he has a book,
Mhm.
and the book is called Onion Jam.
Mhm.
What the fuck
I,
is
d-
this?
I
Is this
don't
a
think it's
parody?
no, I don't think it's a parody. I think it is just a thing related to vegetables, and they just
But
came up with it. That's it.
but it's the title of a book. Shouldn't it be like a
Yes.
well-known kids book or something?
Yes,
But
it should be of War and Peas, but it's not.
sure, yeah, yeah, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah. No,
I don't know.
I do not think it's anything.
I don't
I
know.
don't
There's
know.
some dumb shit where Kyle has a laughing fit and Brassica has to use vegetable hypnosis powers to fix him, and I really have no clue what that's about.
They all seem
Um,
to be getting loopier as if they're infected with the fungus, even though I thought it was indicated that they weren't.
yeah. So I don't
I
know
don't
what.
know.
Yeah, maybe there were multiple drafts of this and they just didn't fix that.
I know. I promise there were not multiple drafts of this.
um, yeah, I don't know. Prince Brassica drives them out to Dozer's pharmaceutical supply house. And everybody just turns into their vegetables, except like the big humanoid version. Except for Kyle, who turns into a rutabaga, like an 8 foot tall rutabaga. Um, they scare the truck guys, and they're like, "Take us to Withers Field, or else we'll smash you," or whatever the fuck. So that's how they get there. Um, they get to the snoring at the farm. Everyone's dressed like a jerk, and it smells bad. Uh, when they get there, it turns out Randy's driver, Radish's driver, is a jerk secretly, and he's like, "Watch out, everyone! The Vegemorphs are here." So there's a fight, and they like squirt people with cream. They zap them with the veggie beams. The people like snap out of it and start applying the cream themselves. It's like really gross. All the trichophytans and rubrums are there. There's a lot of walking going on.
Right, walking.
Right. Yeah, like I walk you upside the head.
And then for some
Um,
reason, Kale gets knocked out. So you don't get to see the end of the fight. He just wakes up a day later and they tell him what happened.
yeah, like a rubrum starts to eat Carrie, and then it starts raining. I don't know what that. I don't. And then Kale passes out. It's like a Bilbo and the Five Armies thing.
Yeah, and the rain, it helps defeat them because they're all wet, and then they zap them with vitamins, and then they win.
Right. And Fungus is fortunately not there, I guess. I
But
don't know.
then they say Prince Brassica calls and says they're still out there, and he's like, well, the Vegemorphs will be ready.
Right. Well, first, Bryce wakes Kyle up and he's like, "Hey, Kyle, I'm not a jerk anymore, and you won,
Right.
and you beat all of them. Everybody knows you don't have a secret identity. They all know
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
the Vegemorphs and you're heroes, you're
yeah.
hometown heroes, and we all love you." And then Carrie shows up and is like, "I survived. I didn't get eaten, but I'm a carrot now forever. I'm stuck as a carrot, like
Oh, right,
Tobias."
right. Yeah,
And
but he's
then yeah,
happy. He loves it.
sure, and that's the end.
This book is more explicit throughout that Carrie loves being a carrot.
Yes, that's true.
So that is almost an attempt at commentary on Animorphs.
I mean, okay.
Oh, there's also at the end the tape from Prince Brass, the voicemail he leaves on their physical answering machine, if you recall those, says this tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Oh
And it
yeah.
does. So, because
That's kind of
that,
cracked-esque, right? We just made a
yeah,
reference.
yeah, they made a reference. Pretty funny. I mean, it is, again, that is one of maybe 7 actual attempts at a joke in this entire book.
It I mean, I kind of liked it because
Yeah,
we just marathoned all the
yeah,
Mission Impossibles together, so
yeah.
you know,
Pretty fun.
I like Mission Impossible.
It's a lot of fun.
That's something.
That's the end of the book. This book is what? I mean, what the fuck? Why did they do this? Why is it so boring and bad? I don't understand it. I mean, I pretty much said it already at the top, but it's not even, it barely reads like a parody outside of the first chapter. It just becomes its own shittier thing, and it sucks. And I think I'd rather reread The Host than read this again.
You got to stop dropping these refs to our Patreon. Like these would be wonderful if this wasn't the last month of the podcast and
It's
people had
still
any
there.
incentive.
It'll always be there for you. Are we? I guess to end this, we should say,
Yeah,
what is like, what would a good Animorphs parody be? I mean, in a way, I think maybe we've done that a little bit with our fan fiction. Or at least I feel like I kind of did that with at least one of my fanfics. I guess all of mine were basically parodies. At least one of yours was a little more straightforward.
Yeah,
I don't know that
one
the
of
other
mine
one,
I think was a pretty good parody. Personally,
I don't know that it
would
counts as a. I mean, it's absurd and humorous, but it's not. I don't know that it's necessarily. It's not like skewering the elements of Animorphs necessarily. You know what I mean?
Right. It doesn't have a clarity of purpose.
But yeah, I mean, obviously the problem with this inherently is that what we think is a good Animorphs parody would require actual knowledge of the depth of the series. And
yes,
what you would write as a person who wants to sell this is a much more surface level idea of what the books seem to be selling, where you're really working in the wheelhouse of the first 5 books maybe. And a real parody we want is to, like, we want them to really give it to thermals and shit like that.
yeah. I mean, my real issue with trying to think up a good Animorphs parody is that after spending so long talking about Vegemorphs, I no longer believe a better world is possible. And so it's just really hard for me to conceptualize of such a thing.
I get that. I heard that the book Vegemorphs was actually inspired by Terry Schiavo.
Okay.
That's
too far.
that's the kind of thing I would expect to see in a Mad Magazine parody.
A little bit edgy.
Yeah.
You're being Mr. Edgy in 2006.
That's right. A little edgy and very dated. I don't even know.
Well, I don't know that I would describe you as very dated, but
okay. Maybe, yeah, it might be more like very lima beaned. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I do know what you're saying.
I don't even know reading the temperature on. Would people? Is it offensive, that joke I just said, or have we gone all the way around and it's no longer offensive anymore because nobody gives a shit?
Say, it is offensive, but like
right.
I think at this point, anyone who knows what you're talking about anymore is just gonna roll their eyes and be like, "Fuck off."
And you know what? As you should. And that's what I say to Leif E. Green. Fuck off.
What was his real name again? We dox
Chris
this fucker.
Chris Steinbach. He's done a good job covering up his tracks because otherwise I was gonna swat him later. I was gonna walk this motherfucker.
Oh God.
Listeners, have you ever read Vegemorphs, or are you our big Arthur head? You have 1 week to tell us about it if you care to. theyerkyboys@gmail.com. Also, we do have 2 Patreon episodes left as well. This week, we're talking about our namesake, the Jerky Boys. The prank audio, and we're going to watch the Jerky Boys movie as well.
Mm-hmm. It'll be a good time. We have fun over there.
That's patreon.com/theyerkyboys. Okay. And those were some parodies. I hope you liked them. Pretty fun.
Send us some fucking emails or some shit so we have something to talk about in our last episode.
Please.
We want to go out on a good note. We don't want to go out on this note. I want to feel a sense of melancholy and not relief when the show is over, you know?
I hope you don't feel a sense of melancholy flower. All right, we better go. We're getting a little too jerky.
A bit of a melancholy over here.
Yeah, well, that's the wrong direction. Okay. Oh, right. You end it. That's how it goes. I could plug my stuff. I'm not gonna. I'll do it next week.
Yeah, not on this episode. Thanks everyone. It feels
like
for
a
listening.
Patreon. I got confused because this is stupider than usually what we talk about. Go ahead.
Yeah. Tune in next time. Tune in for the last time when we'll be doing our final wrap-up episode, in which we, the Yerky Boys, Will and Jonathan, turn into regular boys again on the Yerky Boys.